I was just posting that I was going live in some of the Discords.
Cool. I'm just silencing my phone.
Yeah, I can also do that on this. Once I can do that with a button.
Yes.
Can you right now?
Which is fantastic.
I need to know, I need to know the ones that you're going in on.
Yeah.
And all of that.
Yeah.
Again, more information so I can do the things.
That'd be good.
James is...
It wouldn't be episode 300 if we hadn't already gotten this far and just managed to flub the whole experience.
True. James is now exquisitely familiar with communication problems working at the company that I also work at.
So yeah,
that's work. Don't bring it home.
Yeah,
we've at least reached a point in doing the podcast where we can identify what communication problems we have and then thoroughly keep doing them. Mm-hmm. But we're at least self-aware of them.
Yeah, no, we get them. We can even be meta about them.
Right, we really can.
It's like I know you're going to do the thing, so I'm going to do my thing too.
That reminds me.
I mean, really, the way that I handle the news is completely based around knowing our personalities and how we break down discussing things. Yeah. So,
what up, human?
Yo, what's up, dude?
How's it going?
Welcome.
Move this over here and make it easier for y'all to read. Look at that. I moved it.
I can read it.
Wow, how fancy!
Is it easier to
That's
read over
pretty
there?
Fancy.
Let's see here. I'm just posting. This is such entertaining radio we're making for y'all right now.
I mean, I'm just over here looking at titties on Instagram. I don't know what y'all are doing.
Actually doing
that's
things.
That's the reason why I uninstalled Instagram like 3 years ago.
You got bored of titties?
It's just the same. It's fucking same.
All right. Are we ready to do this thing? Are we ready to actually put on a show? Let's see here.
Almost.
Fingers crossed.
I need to finish looking up what I was looking up.
You know, they have those on Instagram. Honey.
What?
What you're looking up.
No, they don't have what I'm looking up on Instagram.
I bet you they do.
I don't think either. All right,
it's probably on there.
Yo, how's it going?
I was gonna order us a fucking a rubber hand, a thing hand.
We could use a thing
because that's what I was looking to see how much they were. So I was gonna be like, buy now, have it shipped here tomorrow.
I bet you'd find one on Instagram.
All right,
it's not on Instagram. It's not.
Welcome to the pre-show. We're about to get diving into this here in just a second. We're about to hit record and actually perform for y'all.
Yeah.
Theoretically. Everybody's got their scotch and their beer.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Double fisting over here.
Finish this before we get too much further into this madness.
All right. I think we're ready. I think I've consumed some alcohol. Mm-hmm. Not nearly enough, but that's what the rest of the show's for, of course. This is going to be a weird topic, but relevant to our life. I think it's an interesting topic in that I don't know if a lot of people understand thoroughly what media festivals are about. Mm-hmm. Something like South by, people hear about it often, but they don't really understand kind of what goes on behind the scenes and what it entails. Really.
It wasn't until after I moved to Austin that I realized what South by was supposed to be for.
Yeah that's the thing is that people know about like the Cannes Film Festival or they'll know about some of the bigger name stuff, but they really just know those by name.
Right.
They don't really understand the nuance of it and kind of what goes into it, what kind of business deals go on behind the scenes, what kind of awards they have and why those are so important.
Right.
Come like Oscar time and things like that. So that's really the reason I wanted to jump into this particular topic and talk about it, especially with South by going on right now. Now that we can be a podcast where we just talk about relevant shit because we've changed the format.
Hell yeah.
So we can just do whatever we want. No parents anymore.
Yeah.
No parents.
We're still not a political podcast, though.
We're still not a political podcast.
We could.
I'm voting.
We might say some shit.
Wait. We can vote shit at this point. There's more than 2 people.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it, man.
Yeah. We can vote that we can do political shit. I think we can. I think Hector and I can vote this.
I'm voting no on that.
So that's one.
Hector.
Well, what do you want? Do you want to do okay, look, I will say we can do political articles if they specifically pertain to video games, comics, or movies.
There you go.
And maybe calling the president an asshole.
We do that anyway.
But that's the thing is we always say we're not a political podcast. It's directly after that.
It's funny to do it that way.
Maybe we just drop the pretense.
Well, we don't want to get that label applied to us because political podcasts on Twitch notoriously do not do well.
Exactly. All right.
Oh no, we're in Austin. We could just get Alex Jones to be on the show.
Oh God.
I don't want to kill anyone this year. I don't have
Gay
enough.
frogs. Gay frogs.
I don't have
Why
enough
is he such a-
DMT to hang out with Alex Jones.
All right.
I do not understand that, man. He is.
Some people you
Fucking
just can't
crazy.
understand. Some people you just can't understand.
Yeah.
His defense for things recently is the I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not that smart.
Yeah.
Well, that's how it
You're
works.
not supposed to say it out loud, Alex.
It's true.
We're all supposed to say it behind your back.
Yeah, sometimes it's refreshing to hear that somebody is as stupid as you think they are. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
He got really high and decided to say that he's really dumb and doesn't know what he's talking about at all.
Yep. All right, let's go ahead and do this.
Joe Rogan.
Let's jump into the show now. We got some people watching us.
Let's do it.
All right. Oh, I should put headphones on and all that jazz.
Sure.
Appreciate that you come and bail us out if we get into some hot mess with. talking
Oh
about
yeah, no.
politics.
Me hanging out with Alex Jones can end in one of two ways. I murder him for being a blight on humanity, or we end up partying like fucking animals.
Maybe both.
Maybe both.
Maybe both.
I'm gonna have to Hunter S. Thompson it. I think I'm gonna have to like embed myself with the crazies and write a fucking novel about
Where
it.
There you
Tony's
go.
popping out of Hunter S. Thompson's trunk, middle of Bat Country.
That would be fantastic.
We are in Bat
We are
Country.
in Bat Country right now.
True,
So.
we are.
Are we gonna talk about the fact that DC is releasing millions of bats in Austin?
No,
so
that
good.
was such a stupid thing.
I get that why they said that, but at the same time it's like, but those of us that live in Austin were like, but the bats do that anyway.
Yeah, no, that was
Well, see, that was my
like,
concern. Because
first
DC, so
reaction.
DC Comics said they were going to be releasing 1.5 million bats over Austin to celebrate Batman's birthday.
It's like we don't need more
And
bats.
and so my concern when I initially posted the article about it was, well, are you actually bringing more bats to Austin to release them?
That sounds like a problem.
Because that would basically just screw up the ecology of like all of Austin. We already have millions of bats. You don't need to bring any more bats here. Like we have an
Also, who the
adequate
fuck?
amount of bats.
How much would it cost to move like 1.5 million bats?
Okay,
I don't know.
That's
hang
a
on.
lot. That seems like a lot of money.
Are they crossing the border illegally? Like, what's going on here? We are not a political podcast. But how do
So-
these bats work?
Quick aside, just based exactly on this, and I'm sorry that I'm scant on the specifics here, but there was a city in the, I want to say late 80s, early 90s that decided they wanted to break a goddamn Guinness Book of World Records record.
Mm-hmm.
So they decided to release the most balloons. And
Oh, that's
so,
not good for the
that's
environment.
No, they released like what can only be described as a sarcastic amount of balloons.
A literal metric fuckload.
Yes, like it was in the millions. I think it was in the tens of millions. And as soon as they let them go, you could kind of collectively hear the city go, "Oh shit, wait."
That was probably a bad idea.
that was a
It
bad
was. I
idea.
remember the city was on a body of water, and that most of these balloons ended up in the water,
Oh,
and then
God.
immediately under the water, and like the everyone around them, and balloons ended up in like Canada and shit.
Wow.
Like people were going crazy about this. They're like, did nobody think this through?
No, nobody thought that.
Nobody
That's
did.
what I was thinking about when they said they're going to release like 2 million bats on Austin. I'm like, but we have enough bats, guys. Like we're covered on the bat situation. We don't need to release anything. We have a bridge. They hang out under the bridge. It's a good time.
A lot of the bridges. The first time I saw them, it literally looked like smoke coming out from.
Oh, yeah.
I thought shit was on fire because I was driving down
cool.
35 and like, oh fuck, the freeway's on fire. This is not going to be good.
It's
But
like,
get up
"Ah,
there.
it's
No,
just
it's just
bats.
bats.
They're
It's
here
just
every
bats. No, your thing reminded me though. Like I think it was in the 80s, a shipment of Nike shoes. Like the boat capsized, so they all got washed everywhere, and they actually used them for science because of they could find out where the currents were going based on where these shoes went all over the world.
Interesting. using ecological disasters for scientific purposes.
Oh, it's a little bit easier to track a shoe than it is oil.
That is
so
true.
Yeah.
That is true. That's a better idea. All right, let's do this.
Alrighty.
All right, adventurers, welcome to episode 300.
I'm not gonna do it. This is this really nerd thing. It's 300.
It's not a topical reference.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
It's horrifyingly
It's already
dated.
it's too late. We've already done the intro. It's
All
too
right.
bad. Greetings, adventurers, and welcome to the show. We are the Surly Nerd, your one-stop shop for geek news that might have flown under your radar over the last week. I'm your host, James, and sitting across from me is the producer of this fine show, Tony.
Ahoy, ahoy!
And with us, as always, is our third-tier host, Hector.
How many episodes?
300.
Well, you haven't been
A
here for
Spartan,
300.
a Spartan number.
A Spartan number.
Now we're doing
Yeah,
the
yeah.
300 thing.
A fucking Zack Snyder movie full of episodes.
Exactly, and we eventually someday you will get the Zack Snyder cut of our podcast.
We have almost as many episodes as there were abs in that movie.
That's very true. All right, if you are new to our show, welcome. This week we're going to be talking about media festivals and their impact. I promise you it's a lot more interesting than we're making it out to be. But before that, we have a recap of all the nerd news that's fit to rant about for your ears. Don't forget that you can keep connected with us at thisearlynerd.com. You can follow us on all social media platforms and even donate to the show. Every penny donated goes right back into the show that we make for you every week. Now, before we get started, what is new in episode 300, you might be asking yourself? Well, mostly the format. So what we've done is we've done away with our themed levels, all the comic book news, the video game news. We've kind of cut the fat of the weaker news stories and made more room for topic discussion, our Twitch chat to kind of ring in, talk about things they want to talk about. So what we do is we now have our prelude, like always. It's our warm-up. It's what we've been doing this week. We've got our weekly raid. That's the name of our news roundup. And we've ditched the epilogue for the boss room. Same concept, just different, more fun flavor, I think. Around the corner, we have a bunch of new stuff planned. We've got a new logo on the horizon, several articles going up soon, and more content all around. All right, now that we are through the intros, let's head right on into the prelude.
Secretly, we're also half wet and naked.
Oh, yeah.
Or wet and half naked. I
Well,
don't
we,
know. We're half wet
appreciate
and
it,
naked.
man.
Yeah.
There's nothing I like more than having you watch us just with, you know...
Hanging out with a wang out.
Yeah, exactly. You have to.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, there's no way he's not just wearing a sweater. I mean,
he could be.
It's just the sweater.
You know,
New York.
you know how much fun it is to put on like a holiday sweater and wear nothing else?
I don't, but now I'm really curious.
I have my Iron Man holiday sweater. You just wear that and just let it all hang out. I don't need the
secretly,
sweater back.
James
up.
got
I
me
was
the
thinking
one.
more like a Superman logo, maybe like a little sweater cape.
See, mine's got bells on it, so you can kind of jingle. And you
no.
can get in the spirit of the thing.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
Of the thing.
Of the thing. All right, let's do it.
Alrighty. Do I still say epilogue now?
No.
Okay, so I'm not saying a thing anymore.
I mean,
You're saying a different thing
we'll
now.
probably need to make audio bites for all of these just to make our lives easier.
Well,
I bet
was
you
gonna-
there's a button on there.
But-
that will play.
But for this week, we'll just do it the old-fashioned way. And you'll
Well, I
see.
can literally just say epilogue right now, record it, and then put it into the thing.
Right.
I've thought about doing this a million times, but I thought it was always kind of fun where I would just say it different ways.
It's
Yeah.
true. It's true.
Saying it different ways is
but
better.
Carl,
I
just
think.
saying the boss room every week or saying boss room every week.
Boss fight!
It's boss room, always that.
Well,
Nothing
originally it was really.
I spent literally 6 weeks fighting with myself what we were going to be calling the
Okay,
segment.
see-
We are just going to be calling it the boss
Are
room.
you remembering that we actually brought up the? I remember you and I talking about the changing the ending of the show and calling it boss fight at the very end.
Yes.
And now it's boss room.
It would have been boss fight if I felt that I was putting more
If
debate topics. in
debate
there.
topics, but
Right.
it's not. So,
Right.
I still like saying the things because I can say whatever mood I'm in within those words.
That's fine. So we're starting with
Agreed.
a prelude. Let's start with that and ease our way into the
Okay,
rest
and I
of
also
it.
need to know when we can save parts of the episode. So
Yes.
previously it was 3 sections, multiple points to save.
True.
You know I hate this. Like, well, we talked for an hour and a half. Cool, the power went out. We lost everything.
Right.
Like, I would like to have a backup
Sure.
at some point.
I'll start making notes for all
We
that.
need to have pausing points to go save the fucking file.
This is what doing a podcast is like, guys. It seems
Well,
like we're just
there's a
going to talk
difference
about the
between doing a
news, but-
podcast and doing a live stream. They are two different things. We're
It's all-
doing both of them at the same time.
It's okay. We can
We're
do
talented. We
Yeah.
can do that.
We got-
we can stroke multiple dicks at once.
multiple arms. For
Yeah.
the
I've
dick
got. I
stroking.
mean, according to the not IT crowd, fucking Silicon Valley,
Yeah.
you can at least jerk off 2 dicks at the same
Right, right.
time.
Yeah, minimum.
Yeah, and it's the mean to dick ratio.
Yes,
It's
yeah,
the-
exactly.
God damn, that show's so good.
It's too good.
Oh, it's too funny for this world.
It really is.
It's too exactly what that show is for this world. It's too close to reality sometimes.
Yeah. And it was always kind of a, oh, I've lived that story. Oh, I've been there. These guys are pretty good. Until they got to the super nerdy guy trying to turn their house into a scrum meeting, and I was like,
Yeah, I've lived that life.
it's too real.
It's too real. Absolutely.
Get out of my brain.
Let me get some more beer before we finish.
Okay.
I mean, I'm already getting
You're so really talented at getting the show moving and us going forward on this. We've actually got like people sitting here actively watching. How does a podcast work? What goes on behind the scenes of this early nerd that makes it for such a wonderful podcast that I like to tune in for every week? And it's mostly just 90 minutes of us dicking off and like 10 minutes of us talking about the news. So, I mean, did you expect anything else from us? It's been 300 episodes.
Hey, there's a reason it takes, a year and a half to create a 2-hour movie. There's a lot of dicking off in there.
Yeah, exactly. We also have to CG ourselves somewhere in there.
Well, yeah, we still have to CG my six-pack on for the 300 episode.
Honestly, after watching all of the credits for Captain Marvel, the entire episode is made up by thousands of people doing CGI of us doing this, and 5 minutes of us actually talking.
Very true.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we have a very wholesome show. We're going to be talking about dicks a lot. Welcome to the podcast.
Yep.
I mean, it's wholesome in that we fill holes.
Ah, damn it, you stole it. I knew where it was
Well
going.
done. Well done.
Well, I knew where it was going first, and I don't care if you got there or not. I did.
That explains so much. All right, let's do the prelude, man.
Prelude.
All right, this is the prelude. This is what we've been doing with ourselves this week. What we've been playing, what we've been watching, what's been occupying our free time. You know what? With it being 300, I think it would be greedy, and I'm going to go first this week.
All right, yeah.
It's been a while.
It has been a while since I've
there.
gone first. So I had what I called a big fat Hector week.
Yeah.
Which is not what
Wait.
you think it is. It's not me sitting around smoking weed and like having a John Hughes marathon. It was not that.
And eating really, really good pizza.
I was going to say, if you did that, you better have invited me over.
Honestly, why aren't we sitting around smoking weed, eating really good pizza, and watching John Hughes movies?
We have 300 episodes to make up for. All right. So what I did is I took a bunch of Hector's suggestions he's had for me kind of over the course of the year and said, all right, I'm gonna strap in and kind of try it out. So the first thing that I did was I checked out The Expanse.
Yeah.
Right. So this was a sci-fi show originally on the Sci-Fi Channel.
Was originally on the Sci-Fi
and then
Channel.
it got canceled, and then it was picked up by Amazon. It is about it's about a lot of stories, which is the hardest thing to describe about it, because you're like, how do I describe The Expanse to somebody that's never seen it before? I don't know. There's like 5 stories. It's a Game of Thrones in space. That's the closest I can do to describe it is Game of Thrones in space, and all the plot lines eventually come together.
Yeah, the best, the way it was described to me when I got it was by... the person who recommended it to me didn't describe the story. They described the world. Right. And that's honestly what got me into it.
And that's how,
like
whenever you described the world to us, that's when I was like, oh, that actually sounds like a really interesting world-building thing.
Yeah, if I started trying to give you plot points, it would just sound
I would
wacky.
get very confused.
Yeah.
So it's very gritty. It's very like lo-fi sci-fi in the way that Aliens is, where everything feels very like grounded in reality, and it's very like rooted in kind of modern technology. But it's still sci-fi. Obviously, there's space travel and there's miners on the moon and shit like that. But it's grounded enough in reality. You're like, okay, I can see.
The moon is for adults only.
Damn it. So it's definitely not a show that I think I can recommend to everybody. But if you are a person who likes kind of the political intrigue of like Game of Thrones, but you love that kind of dark, gritty sci-fi a la Aliens, you're really going to find a great middle ground here. I really probably couldn't tell you most of the characters' names. I mostly... watch it by faction. To be fair, I watch most of this at work.
Right.
So I'm not like actively sitting there watching every minute of the show, but it is kind of faction based, and you kind of watch like the space faction and like the political faction and like the people that are kind of in the middle of a revolution, and each of those stories, like the detective's the only one that I probably know off the top of my head that you really follow his story throughout the whole thing. But if you are into those things, I would definitely say pick up The Expanse. I'm about 10 episodes into it, and it's been absolutely fantastic. And if what you've been telling me about it, Hector's any indication, it'll continue being that great.
Oh yeah, it only gets better. Actually,
now that it has an Amazon budget and they can just do whatever the fuck they want.
So, yeah, no, that's so that brings me up to one of the things that I've been doing a little bit. The Grand Tour, Amazon show.
Oh, I've heard of that.
It's back. I've been watching a little bit of that, and you can tell that going from Top Gear, which had government backing,
a car show.
Car show. Yes, I forgot that people don't watch the show and don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Grand Tour came out of Top Gear, which is a BBC series that everybody got fired on, and Amazon hired all of them to make the show.
Yeah.
And it's been going on its 3rd season. It's been really good. But again, Amazon's been killing it with their independent made shit, I guess, or the movies they've been buying. Their series have been fucking wonderful. I've had a great time with it. They are the most underrated of the streaming platforms at this point.
They are, because none of their shows have been like revolutionary, although some of them had the potential to be.
You got some stuff like Man in the High Castle.
That's what I was about to mention. Like Man in the High Castle was a good show and very well made and very well produced and very expensive, very well done. At the same time, it wasn't
it's
still not it's not Handmaid's Tale. It's not a super award-winning show.
It wasn't Handmaid's Tale. It wasn't, what did we all just finish watching? Superheroes, The Umbrella Academy.
Yeah.
It wasn't up to par with any of the best stuff that's come out of Netflix, even, not to mention like HBO.
So my favorite thing that Amazon's made is the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Yeah.
And that is a comedy show that is not for everybody. You have to like period pieces about comedians. Like it's
a very specific niche.
Yeah, it's a very specific thing. But it has won awards now.
Right. Man in the High Castle is like straight up like if somebody read the description to me, I'm like, that is everything that I want in a show. Like, please put that in my face hole.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, The Expanse really is for a specific, it's a very niche show. Yes. But if your niche is like this low grade sci-fi with like Game of Thrones politics, this is absolutely for you.
But now that they've got the Amazon, like I said, Amazon budget is huge.
Oh yeah,
true.
Their answer to everything is throw more money at it.
Yeah, that's very true.
And honestly, it's Netflix's answer too.
The other thing that I did this week for my Big Fat Hector week was I watched a 5-minute video summarizing the very first Witcher game, and it was a slow work day on Friday, so I installed The Witcher.
Really be explained in 5 minutes?
The first game can.
Yes.
Okay.
So
I haven't played them. Yeah. It's been on my to-do list.
So I installed The Witcher 2. At your recommendation, thought I'd finally give it a shot. Combat in 1 was horrible. Decided I'm not going to sit through 80 hours of that, and we'll jump into 2. Mind you, my review is completely based... my review of a 10-year-old game is based completely around playing it on a mouse and keyboard, when it definitely feels like it should be played with a controller. That's just a recommendation from me to you. But The Witcher kind of blew my mind a little bit, because I expected to go into The Witcher as a very empowering video game where you're playing this hero. He's a named hero. He's obviously a badass with all these powers. You do get to start with a bunch of powers, which is cool. And I expected to kind of go in there, just swing my sword around, and just waylace to this game in probably 10 to 15 hours. What I didn't expect is probably one of the most hardcore RPGs I have played on the face of the fucking planet. Ever. And considering how popular this game is, I am surprised. Because there are times where it feels like Dark Souls.
Yeah.
I am like, what am I doing possibly wrong that I keep losing this fight? And I didn't realize that my mentality was so wrong going into the Witcher series, thinking it was just a basic hack and slash RPG, that I was just going to wade through it with like kitty shoes on and like, oh, look at me, I'm a Witcher. No, fuck that shit. Like, The Witcher kicked my ass in the first 5 minutes and then said, come back and get more of it. What I like to call my aha moment for The Witcher. It's that moment in video games, when everything clicks for you, right? When you're playing a particularly difficult game, when maybe you're rage quitting, like what Twitch chat is saying, where things are just so frustrating because maybe you don't understand the mechanics or something just hasn't made you. So my aha moment for The Witcher was I'm in this quest where I have to go and kill these cocoons, and eventually these queen bugs are going to pop out at me. Very simple quest, early game quest. And I had just been approaching this in that traditional RPG style. Throw more magic and my swords at it, and maybe I'll get shit done. Right?
Just hammer all of your everything into
just unload all my spells, it'll die.
Sure, that's not the way.
It's taking a rocket launcher to a bug.
Yeah, exactly, and that's not the way The Witcher works.
No, Witcher doesn't have rocket launchers.
Right. So what I ended up doing out of pure frustration at the game is I had collected something like 30 traps off the ground, and I was like, you know what? I've got 30 traps in my inventory. Fuck this bullshit. I'm just going to put 30 traps on the ground, and we're going to see what happens. Just being angry at the game. And I go and I activate the fight. This bug shows up, trips over my 30 traps and dies. I level up, and then suddenly there's my aha moment. I'm like, you have to outsmart these things. You can't just wade in there guns blazing and hope for the best. You have to shield yourself. You have to dodge roll like in Dark Souls. You have to back off. And these are not things that I had attributed with The Witcher when I went into it. I just expected a very traditional fantasy.
You were thinking more like God of War, maybe.
Really, like
is there a setting where I can use a rocket launcher to solve all my problems?
It's on PC. There's
it's
a mod.
Different game.
It's a mod at that point.
That's true.
I just want to know, because that's how I play video games.
I would say that that I respect the game more now that I've played some of it, and I understand that I can't just do that.
So you're almost done with it?
Oh, God, no. I am 15 hours. I have done like 3 quests, all right? The Witcher is not a quick game.
No. So, I was just wondering if we're going to talk about 3 soon.
And in episode 400, we will definitely be talking about The Witcher 3 when
100 more episodes we'll talk about.
I only get
Maybe Witcher 4 will come out by then.
Yeah, I only have I'll be playing Cyberpunk by then.
Yeah.
All bets are off when Cyberpunk comes out. Like, Witcher's great and all, but let me get into Cyberpunk 2020, please. All right, so there is one thing that we did communally do this week. We can't talk a whole lot about it, but let's just give our first impressions. We all did go see Captain Marvel.
We did.
Yep, that was a thing that we all did together.
Yes. Yep. Does anybody?
That was one of the many things we all did together. The rest was just jerking off.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, it was Saturday.
We just don't talk about the show.
Well, first off, we're classy. It's mimosas and jerking off. Right?
Yeah, I mean, you gotta have champagne, or else what's even the point?
Right. So we all went and saw Captain Marvel. We don't want to spoil anything for you. Honestly, my review is go fucking see it.
Yeah,
holy fucking shit. It is not.
It's a very good Marvel movie that isn't that great of a movie.
It's
really
not the greatest of all the movies, but it's so much fun to watch.
It is fun as hell, but it is not very good.
And that's
the acting in the CGI is brilliant. The acting in it's fucking wonderful. But overall, I left going, well, cool. That happened, I guess.
And, let's not forget that when we went into it, no matter how much we were ready for, everything that this movie had promised us, which was like a really cool and empowering female character and a Marvel movie with a more interesting origin story, that sort of thing. Like instead of following the formula we've seen over and over, we're getting something a little more out of order, something a little bit more entertaining. We also all collectively, probably even subconsciously, saw it as a prequel to the movie we actually really want to see.
It's true.
Yeah, no, and
so it's easy to be hard on the movie for that.
And by itself, I have to compare this to every single Marvel movie origin story before it, right?
Right. We have some heavy hitters and some really weak
Thor, ones. Honestly, the first Captain America movie is fucking amazing.
It's an incredible movie on its own.
Yeah,
all the Captain Americas are. Damn,
they really. Captain America's the best, but I just don't feel that Captain Marvel hit that same holy fuck moments,
right?
Because it was a period piece of something that I was alive during.
Yeah,
so it didn't have that. It's not nostalgia because it was so long ago, and it's not something I wasn't obviously around for. So I lived that already.
You were like, I don't care.
When No Doubt came on, I was like, okay, cool.
There
I
were
guess
some very
No Doubt came out.
soundtrack moments in that movie where I was like, oh yeah.
Oh, dude, the soundtrack
I am
felt
somewhere
way
in the
forced.
3rd grade right now.
Dude, the soundtrack felt. That's something we talked about right as soon as the show movie got done. The soundtrack to Captain Marvel feels forced. Whereas something like Guardians of the Galaxy,
he thinks it feels forced because he was alive during the time.
Yeah,
the
that's
songs
exactly.
Were
that's the thing. It's like it felt like
my mom probably felt the same way about Guardians of the Galaxy.
Probably, but I wasn't alive during Guardians of the Galaxy times, so that soundtrack is amazing to me.
All right, Hector, what did you do this week?
Aside from seeing Captain Marvel, which just go see it. Let's see. I actually just before I arrived here finished the first season of Good Girls on Netflix.
Oh, I recommended this to everybody on this show, and finally people are watching it. What is the show, please? To recap.
It's wonderful. So basically, you get this set of suburban women, all of the mothers, some not a very.
It's Christina Hendricks, Mae Whitman, and
her name's Rita. I think she has
Rita,
one name like Prince.
Yeah.
It's just Rita, Reta.
The comedian.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She was on Parks and Rec.
Yeah. I believe she just goes by the single name.
Yeah. So anyway, they're all suburban women. They're all mothers, and they're all in some pretty bad financial situations. And they decide to rob a grocery store because it's a piece of shit.
Grocery stores make a shitload of money
because they have a shitload of cash, and it's one of their piece of shit jobs that works at that grocery store.
Oh, they want to rip off the people that piss them off. Yeah.
And so that's where the show starts, and you want to think like incredible immediate repercussions to bad decisions to show. And I don't want to make this comparison because the shows are nothing alike, but in that Breaking Bad sort of way where everything leads to something else immediately and Jesus Christ, the show just won't stop getting worse. That's kind of the same vein this show falls into. There's never any rest time. I never looked at my phone. There was always more carrying forward. And even the goddamn season finale, it leads directly into the next season, which I don't know where it is. I don't think it's available yet.
Season 2 just started.
It's on Hulu.
Okay, so if it just started, then okay. But fuck, I hate cliffhanger endings to shows.
My comparison for the show was it's much like The Good Place, where The Good Place never stops to breathe.
Yes,
it's
exactly.
Just, it moves at such a quick pace that, like, by the end of the episode, you're like, wait, I need to know what happens next. Why am I having to wait a week for this fucking show to come out?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, fucking Matthew Lillard's in it. Like, the cast is spectacular.
Oh, the cast is amazing.
Like, they make the show.
Another thing I did this week... but Good Girls, definitely watch that. The first season's on Netflix. Watch all of it in a week the way I did. Another thing I did this week, and I'm kind of embarrassed about this because it was the only David Fincher movie I hadn't seen. I saw Zodiac.
Oh, okay.
Really?
And
that's
yeah,
like that was like 20 years ago.
2007, David Fincher. When he, one of my favorite directors of all time, always will be, easily top 5, maybe top 3. But fuck that movie. Like, I can't say anything about it that hasn't already been said. But Jesus Christ, is that movie?
It's been out for a while. I think
amazing.
Everybody's written many things about how wonderful it is.
Have you ever heard like the old man critic pontificate on the movies? It just tried to do too much.
Yeah.
That's this movie, but he fucking pulls it off. This movie is so many things and switches effortlessly between them, from horror to kind of a nostalgic throwback to kind of a buddy comedy. And you kind of never see it coming. Even all of the kills in the movie, because it is about a serial killer, kind of feel like they all take place in a different genre. It's nutty and amazing, and if you've never seen it, it's on Netflix. Can't recommend it enough.
That was my question, is where do you see it? Because I haven't watched Zodiac since 2007.
Yeah, then it's on Netflix. I would,
now that you're
give it another
now that
watch.
You brought it back up and it's like, you know what? Honestly, as much as I do love the John Hughes sitting on the couch thing, I kind of want to have, David Fincher
you just want to
sitting
smoke out and watch Zodiac.
All of David Fincher's work.
And the cinematography is top notch. There are just career making shots all over this movie. It's wonderful. I have one more because I saw a lot of movies this weekend.
Goddamn.
I went to go see Climax. Gaspar Noé's most recent movie. You can probably find it all over the place because it's had a very staggered release in Europe, and now it's just now playing in theaters in Austin. If you know who the director is, then you pretty much know what you're getting into. If you don't, probably don't go see this movie. Maybe watch it if you feel up for a challenge. Gaspar Noé, do you think movies you may have seen that are his? Into the Void, Irreversible, if you're some kind of masochist.
Into the Void was fucking great.
Yes. Love is his most recent one. Here are the things that he is known for. In Love, unsimulated sex. He decided that in a movie about love and sex, that why would we have actors pretend to have sex? How is that good cinema? That's just a thing he did. And
that's actually something actors have brought up for like since the beginning of sex scenes on film.
And there's
like,
a lot to be
it's
said.
the whole like, well, we're doing this weird, awkward like lovemaking thing in front of like 50 people, and we're not supposed to enjoy it, but we're also supposed to enjoy it. It's a very confusing thing for a lot of people.
Issue. I can see
it is a divisive issue. In Irreversible, a 15 at least minute long rape scene in a movie played entirely in reverse. And when I mean entirely in reverse, I mean the movie starts with the credits rolling up the screen, and we continue that way.
He's not known
It's a movie worthy of a lot of things, but I could never recommend it to anyone who I didn't know already liked really fucked up movies. Like, this is the type of thing you recommend to someone who goes, have you seen this? And you go, well, sure, but...
Somebody's like, hey, I saw Sallow this weekend. You're like, I've got a recommendation for you.
Yeah, or like, man, Fear and Loathing really like hurt my brain. It's like, I probably shouldn't recommend this to you. So, this movie, though, Climax, was a lot more approachable. It was beautiful. There were ambitiously long shots. I'm talking like 10 to 15 minutes long.
Yeah.
Well, when you're doing, so we haven't discussed what the movie is.
It's insane.
When you're doing a horror movie that's done through dance...
and the thing is,
I think you deserve some long sequence, because dance sequences are long, beautiful, drawn out things.
There's a lot of that.
Yeah.
Tony, is there anything else that you did this week?
I'm just gonna fucking keep this like short and quick. I've been watching Forged in Fire because I like watching people fucking make things out of metal.
I'm not gonna lie, Forged in Fire is a guilty pleasure.
Yeah, no,
I love that
it's fun.
show.
It's not that good, but it's a competition show where they make knives,
and
swords.
That's
specifically in the season I'm in. basically nothing but things from Africa because everybody else has made all the shit from like Northern Europe. Like,
right.
So it's just African weapons at this point, and it's interesting as shit. I get to learn about these cool axes and stuff that I didn't fucking know about.
In there.
Yeah, there's a little bit.
And then they always explain that, and it's in pop culture reference. This is what this was used in, dude. They're like digging the bottom of the barrel for like weapons that were used in video games and movies.
All right, that's everything we have for the prelude this week. We're going to take a small break, and when we come back, we'll be coming back to the weekly raid.
It wasn't quite.
Oh man, was that weird?
I don't know.
Weekly raid, was that weird?
I don't know. Was it weird?
No, it was
you
fine.
like cut me off like the middle of a sentence, but it's
gonna remain.
It's fine.
I thought you were done.
No,
It's fine.
I wanted to say more than the one thing that I'd done. Like,
You said you were going to make it short and
I was gonna say two things. I've been watching that and fucking Stargate SG-1.
Oh yeah, didn't you say SG-1 last week?
did.
You did.
I'm still, dude. Do you know how
We
much
know
Stargate? Do you know how much Stargate SG-1 there is?
I do, and I don't need to hear about it more.
Fine.
No, that's
You're
not
like, it's
true.
the destiny of TV shows.
I mean, mind you, like a bunch of shit happened in Destiny, and that's what I've been doing.
Man,
This podcast is always for MMO nerds. It's just how we roll and do things here.
I had to make a choice today that this is the first RPG choice they've ever put in a Destiny.
Yeah, you had to pick between two factions.
I had to pick between two factions, and it says like this.
Did it tear you up inside?
Okay.
We were like, Lisa,
okay, no.
it's
Hang
tearing
on.
me up.
You did not, and I'll tell you
I've,
why.
I've been thinking about this for like
You did
weeks.
not have to pick two factions. You play 3 characters.
It's true.
Yes.
So then, shut your hole.
That was the thing, is I had to decide which character would agree with what side.
No, I get you
So
there.
have
I feel that.
I have three different little characters, different storylines in my brain that I have to make a choice between two other things.
Are you literally
And see-
role playing your?
Yeah, no, like, it's dude.
He role plays every night that he goes in there. He gets online with his friend
and I talk about sucking dick.
and that's he role plays sucking dick every time he goes and plays Destiny. That's
Well,
all
I mean, that's
hear.
what happens when you join a faction. I
Right.
mean, they don't hire you for free.
Yeah, I just
Yeah, I know exactly, right, Brooklyn? Next time they're going to give us some like not binary.
All right, so
choices.
this like launched today, so like I've done like the bare minimum part of it because I did decide to try and do
just in Destiny or life in general.
Just in general.
Yeah.
I did decide to try to do the two take the story point for two characters and get it to kind of where the same point was.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting. It's like I chose the I guess the easy way on one character because it was like the go talk to this person, go do this mission. And the other one's like go over here, go do these things, plant some fucking bugs, read some fucking reports. I'm like, this is annoying. I'm glad that the character that hates everybody decided to go with the easy option. Way
good.
fucking faster plot line.
I like that this one's easier because I have to talk to fewer people. Fuck
Yeah.
all this lore.
No. That's the thing that pisses me off. Where I have to do more of the other ones because I have to get the lore from the other perspective.
Oh, I got you.
Because I'm more of a lore nerd than I am any part of the gameplay.
Right.
So I need to have all of the options available. If they were like, you made one choice and that's it, I would probably still be sitting there going like, I don't know what to choose. I don't know what to choose.
That's a different thing.
Because I need
Speaking
to
of
have
which,
all of it. I need
James,
all of it.
I'm about to blow your mind. So, in The Witcher 2, there is a specific binary choice that you're going to make at some point in the first act, in the act you're in, that will decide which part of the game you go to next.
Really?
And you will never see the other part of the game.
Wow, that's going to frustrate me.
Yep.
That's fun.
There's literally a whole side of the game that you won't see unless you make a different decision, and you're not going to know which one it is.
Yeah.
Because it's not obvious when it's happening. They're not like, hey, do you want to go this way or this way? It's more like, well, what happens now? And then the thing happens. So, and I'm not talking like a...
I'm playing The Witcher for the first time. It actually has relevance today. Yep, that is true. Witcher statement. Drink.
Yeah,
true.
what's your drink?
All right. So, yeah, no, for serious. That's one of the things that sold me on the game the first time someone tried to get me to play it, was there was an entire, and the reason is because he brought up MMOs, and I thought like World of Warcraft zones. There is an entire area the size of a World of Warcraft zone that you will go to, and one that you will... If you do see it, it will be because of probably a side mission, and you will see it sparingly.
Wow, that's crazy.
And it could have been in a whole other place with whole different characters and whole other quest chains and quest hubs and
You'll
other
never
things to do. And that you might have to play the game the second time.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, so we got the weekly raid. Let's jump in
Yeah,
and do
and
this.
I'm gonna get the rest of my refill since you didn't ask about it.
Oh, okay. I see.
okay, well, yeah,
I'm sorry that I'm the dick here today.
And no, and it does bode well for
You're good.
Destiny in its future because
It
of
does.
I think Anthem's failure bodes well for Destiny at this
Honestly,
point.
Anthem's failure is the best thing that
Anthem's
ever
failure
happened in
and the fact
Destiny.
that literally no one gives a shit about Division 2. Like no
That's not
one.
true at all.
I-
That's
I'm
that.
not-
that
Division 1 players who still like grieving Division
I'm gonna
Division
just
1
disagree
players.
here. I think the Division is going to be much more popular than people are making.
Division 2 has, okay, based on, first of all, just the
Go
subreddit
get your beer.
subscriptions,
Yeah.
Division 2 is going to be pretty popular, especially because it's getting good reviews where Anthem got none before it came
Sure.
out. As of right now, people are saying Division 2 feels like a competent looter shooter with enough stuff to keep people playing.
I was just reading before the show started is that they're
hoping for Division 2.
Mm-hmm.
they're doing a lot to
from their first game mistakes.
they're putting a lot of features in there that encourage positive behavior.
Yeah.
Basically,
so
like
not
so-
Division 1, which was grieving.
right, yeah,
Right.
they're putting
It
in
was
things
just
where
grieving.
where if you go in and you
The
help
high
players
level of
out,
Division 1 is nothing but grieving.
Right,
You
yeah.
can't grieve, you can't play the
they're
game.
not doing that with the second one.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah, they're nixing that, making it so that helping people is actually beneficial.
Yeah,
to them.
and the Dark Zone is redesigned in a lot of different ways and makes some interesting sense.
Devil May Cry 5. Man, we are actually going to be leading off the weekly raid this week talking about Devil May Cry.
Is he trying to say Devil May Cry has 2 dicks?
Man, it might. I mean, there are demons involved. I may have seen enough hentai.
They're
to
Japanese
know it.
demons too, so I mean, 2 dicks minimum, right?
2 dicks.
So one of the guys
minimum.
that I play Destiny with has been also playing Devil May Cry 5, and he has been ridiculously excited. There's a new character that is a demonologist or some shit.
Yeah.
Right.
And he's like, he can do all the things. I'm like, dude, I literally don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah.
Your explaining of this game makes
The
no
way it worked
sense
for me
to
was that somebody said, "Hey, have you played Devil May
No,
Cry?"
I know, but one is ebony and one is ivory, and one is white and one is black. His Dante's 2 guns. Yeah, I know.
It's a metaphor for penises.
That's why Devil May Cry 5 has 2 dicks.
Well, we need to talk about Devil May Cry 5, so let's go ahead and kick this off.
Yeah.
I'm literally just waiting for Hector to stop laughing at this point. And now you. Could the two of you just fucking calm your
I'm
sticks
going back to Scotch.
for 5 seconds?
We'll stop laughing when you start
Also,
clicking
I've
buttons.
discovered that this beer is very strong.
It's good too.
Yeah. Good thing we're going out drinking after this, right, guys?
Can we also go out eating after the? Wait, they have food at Little Darling.
Yes,
I'm
They
good.
have great food at Little
They have some pretty good food there. Also, if anybody in Austin wants to come meet us up, we'll be at Little Darling in like
Yeah.
I don't know, like 5 hours from now. I don't know fucking how long this shit's gonna take. It's fucking ages. You shut up and do it. Come over and press some buttons. What are we calling this thing
The
now?
weekly raid. You
All
should
right.
know this. You're a Destiny player.
Do we? No, we have so many raids. There's so many
This
raids.
is the weekly raid.
Oh, okay. I mean, fine. I mean, just call it raid. But
Raid.
No, that's a
Weekly raid.
movie.
raid. I would honestly just, if you wanted me to take a soundbite, I would take the soundbite from that '80s commercial where the cartoon bugs are
Where
like,
whoever voiced the fucking Noid from Domino's yells raid as a cockroach.
yeah. Or I'll just catch me just going raid, just that,
Yeah.
and just. I'll do that one time, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to say the weekly raid sometimes differently because
Yeah.
it's fun for me.
No, that sounds fun.
I have fun with it. The weekly raid.
Hey, adventurers, welcome back to the show. All right, this is the weekly raid. It's our news roundup. It is everything from our... Back in the past, we had our comic book news, our video game news, all that good stuff.
That was literally last
We've
week.
just combined everything into one tight, firm little package
Yeah.
that we are now going to be breaking down and discussing.
I don't want to break down your tight, firm little package.
You can slap it a little, get a little red.
Just a little bit. You gotta,
I like
gotta
that.
bring a little...
I like to see if it bounces.
So our first news for the weekly raid this week is going to be about Devil May Cry 5. So the base headline here is that Devil May Cry 5 is Capcom's like second biggest PC launch ever, with Monster Hunter being right in front of it.
Yeah.
Right. So
I just really love the fact that Capcom's embracing the PC market
so,
at this point.
Right.
Yeah.
We're talking something about around. I'm gonna go up a little. Something around like 90,000 units. You know, shipped for Devil
Yeah.
May Cry 5.
I'm sorry,
rounding up.
Brooklyn, that emoji is not okay.
So that's a pretty big deal. Now, Monster Hunter World had about 300,000 concurrent users for it, so it's not like hitting those big numbers.
Right.
But I think the bigger news item here isn't the fact that Devil May Cry 5, shipped 90,000 units on PC. I think the bigger news item, and this is something you brought to my attention, Hector, is that we are currently in an age where a lot of these big game studios are failing us.
Oh yeah.
To kind of quote Arrow, you've failed this city in a way.
Over and over again.
No, it's not just one AAA developer or publisher at this point.
It's all a lot of them.
Multiple ones
Right.
where it's like it's EA lets us down regularly. Activision and Blizzard are like just fucking everybody right in the
Right,
A.
but then we have Capcom, right?
Yeah.
Like, talk about this, Hector, please.
Well, I mean, fuck. When you think about Capcom, I think the first
about
time
fighting games.
I get direction.
Right, exactly. The first time we thought about Capcom in the most recent years, especially me being a primarily PC gamer, was Resident Evil 7. And all of a sudden it's like, whoa, they released a really quality Resident Evil game. Like, one that made me want to go back to the series after the fart that was RE5 and the flop that was RE6. We were pretty much done with the series.
We just call that giraffe blowjob.
Right. So RE7 comes out and just blows the doors off everything, completely reimagines how the series is done, is amazing in every way, and people are like, oh, cool. All right.
I'm into Resident Evil again.
Less than a year later, they drop Monster Hunter World on us. And I full-time jobbed that game. It was an incredible game.
Damn.
It was... I put 250 hours into it. I do that with very few games. So that was my second Capcom game on PC that came out working, was a full game, full featured, not a ton of DLC to finish the story, just full game.
You get it.
Easy to play, easy to pay for.
All the updates are free.
Yes, no bugs, no game crashing at launch.
Isn't it like
none of that
Arkham
shit.
Asylum or whatever Arkham Knight that like literally killed your computer if you played it?
No shit. So we had that, and Monster Hunter World wasn't even that long ago. It was about a year ago today, almost.
And the
March
biggest,
of 2018.
biggest downside of Monster Hunter World is it took time for the console content to come to
Right,
PC.
but that was all DLC. We had everything that the PlayStation had on day one on our day one.
Right.
But yeah, they had a lot of added content that took time to get to.
That's what
us.
Destiny 2 did whenever it came to PC. It was like, and we're releasing all the shit that had already happened day one for everybody else because PC took a little bit longer for its release. And that happens. I mean, honestly, when it comes to making video games, you're making for the easiest system to build on, and that's obviously a console because hardware-wise, PCs are all over the fucking place, which is why you have different drivers to help alleviate that stress on the game developers. And I brought up the Dark Knight or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah, Arkham Knight.
I brought up Arkham Knight because when you're talking about a lot of games, whenever they have that delayed console to PC release, the PC release is literally an afterthought, and it's just horrendous.
Right. They either took the extra time to... Yeah, let me continue from where I was going. So... Monster Hunter World was about a year ago, and then a lot of other content came out. But just in the last 3 months, Capcom has released 2 incredible PC games. They've released a remake of Resident Evil 2, which is absolutely phenomenal, and really...
I've heard nothing but good things about that.
It's amazing. The engine it is running on is gorgeous, and everyone's facial capture looks great. All the in-game and out-of-game cutscenes all look amazing. And then just this last week, they drop a game inside the same engine, but it's Devil May Cry. And holy crap, is this game good? Because it's a lot like Resident Evil 2.
Resident Evil 2 is using the same game engine as Devil May Cry 5?
Exactly.
Nice.
It's a really beautiful game. Both of them are.
I'm really happy that they were able to take that old code and get it to work in a modern engine and make both of those games look as good as they fucking do.
And that's the thing about Devil May Cry that I want to point out, is Devil May Cry 5 is an actual Devil May Cry game. It doesn't have a lot of the modern features. Yes, it has stupid microtransactions, but they seem like a complete afterthought. Like, the developers of the game put absolutely no thought into them, and probably banked on the fact that no one would buy them unless they were terrible at the game.
Right.
And that's kind of how they set them up. So, Devil May Cry 5, it's good, hard... really solid difficulty levels and curves, all true to form gameplay, good with multiple characters, and it's kind of culminating in this big epic story that brought 20 years of Devil May Cry games together.
Jesus Christ, Devil May Cry's been out for 20 years.
First game was on the PlayStation 2. I know because I bought it at store at launch.
I mean, I've never been a big Devil May Cry fan.
I was.
I've been a fan of what has come from that.
Sure.
That gameplay style.
I call them spectacle fighters. It's the action adventure game, but
really
everything is an action adventure game.
They did one of Dante's Inferno.
Yeah,
and
Dante's Inferno
it was
was
using the
awesome.
exact same engine, and it was fucking wonderful. Hell, the God of War series
God of War is basically the same thing.
Completely out of this, and I've loved those games.
Yeah, Bayonetta. Is
I just
another
never
amazing
got
example.
into I've just never gotten into Devil May Cry games because to me they were a little bit too Japanese centric on what their storylines were.
They're
presenting.
also incredibly cheesy, and they're supposed to be.
And that's the reason why I went for some of the super Western versions of those, which was, the super Western versions of them. And it was just because culturally I didn't understand why Devil May Cry was that interesting. And now
I was a weeb at the time, so I was like balls deep into it. I was let's do this.
Man, those games were good. But I guess the crux of the whole point is Capcom's back, guys. Like, when I think about really good quality PC games now, and when I think about really good quality games coming from franchises...
Let's not completely compliment them, because the launch of Street Fighter V was a bit... It was tough.
Okay, you have some shitty launches, but the fact that they've been releasing consistent now at this point, at least 4 games, I believe, that have been consistently good.
Capcom
it's
3
true.
Was a good
I think they did
too.
patch in story.
That they've been
mode
releasing it
something.
on every console and PC, not necessarily simultaneously, but within a decent amount of time.
Yeah.
I mean, if we look at what Capcom has released,
Yes.
and we look at what Konami has released,
Which is nothing.
I believe that Capcom is way ahead.
Well,
name another game publisher, a single game publisher.
I have no argument
that
for
has
that.
released 4 incredibly good quality games since the end of 2017. I got nothing. I get it, but not Activision, not EA, certainly not Blizzard. They don't release much.
Sony did.
Sony did, but Sony wasn't the single publisher. You have 5 different game studios.
There's 5 different studios making different games under one publisher.
So and then Sony that has handily won Sony this console generation.
Right.
When you think about Capcom doing it on PC, that just makes them an excellent publisher.
Capcom is. I didn't think, 5 years ago, Capcom would be where they are right now.
Oh, Lord, no.
I didn't. Also, it's the same thing I thought about Square Enix. Right. Square was so far behind the times that I thought that they were just going to go the way of the buffalo, which weirdly, because buffaloes are still around.
Yeah.
I thought, but the phrase still plays, and they both proved me wrong, and I love that. I just kind of wish,
Square has done amazing things, man.
I just kind of wish we could maybe get some Contra games coming out anytime soon.
Contra would be great. Maybe someone just steals Castlevania from Konami and gives it to Capcom.
I'm just gonna take
cool.
Castlevania and Silent Hill and just give it to Kojima and say, just go with God.
Yeah,
honestly,
just run.
Castlevania has gotten its wonderful. Castlevania is no longer Castlevania. It's that other game, Blood Symphony or whatever.
I'm excited for Bloodstained Symphony.
I still has blood-stained, blood something. Blood's in the fucking blood-stained. I don't give a fuck. It's just Castlevania. If you like Castlevania, go fucking play it.
It is important that we do bring this up on the show a lot. Thank you, Twitch chat. True. When we talk about Square Enix, you have to talk about the fact that you have a company that does care about its fans. They care about their fans so much they took Final Fantasy XIV from hot garbage. Scrapped it for a year and a half to 2 years, and then relaunched
for an MMO. That is no one in the history of ever is going to do that again.
They took an enormous loss developing the game, and then immediately signed on to take an even bigger loss remaking it.
Now
they made it successful.
It's the biggest MMO sans World of Warcraft.
It was the most sadomasochistic thing that company could have ever done. It was like, fuck me harder, please, because we are just gonna fuck me harder.
Well, Japanese studios that aren't Konami have a habit of realizing that they've gone out of touch and reinventing themselves. Nintendo's an amazing example of this too. A lot of Japanese studios, when they finally realize their stagnation, do step it up, and Capcom is really coming into
Look at
its own right
Atlas
now.
and Persona 5.
Nintendo
Yeah.
is very close to what a pedophile is. What do the children want right now?
Oh, God,
Lord.
that's awkward. Jesus Christ. So now I'm going to move on from Capcom, and we're going to talk just a little bit about the Orville. Obviously, it's a TV show that we all love.
Oh, wonderful show.
We found out this week that Dark Horse Comics is actually going to be launching a 1.5 series of the Orville. This is going to be the Orville that fills
Brooklyn,
the gaps.
if you can get me a Contra Pachinko machine, I will love you forever. That'd be amazing.
This is they're going to be doing a comic book series that is basically the gap between season 1 and season 2.
Okay.
There was a
the
little bit of
Orville.
time in there.
Right.
Yeah.
We actually, the way season 1 ended and season 2 began, like the storyline is ended. There, it's akin to that Star Trek element of there could be more stories put in.
Right,
here.
and,
Yeah.
and this kind of brings me to like my main talking point for this section here. When we talk about the Orville coming into comic books like this, it's not so much the big news being that they're coming to comic books, because a lot of properties are coming to comics these days. What I have to kind of ask the panel here is Orville really the Star Trek of our generation?
Well,
Yes.
we have we
Star
have
Trek
right
is
now.
currently airing on a subscriber-only digital
Right,
platform.
so we have Star Trek Discovery, and I haven't
Right.
watched any of it personally, but I've heard it's
I
gotten
have
good.
watched every
That
single
being
episode
said-
aside from this week's episode.
Okay. That being said, the Orville feels like I'm watching Star Trek: The Next Generation.
That was the point I was going to make.
I've never seen Discovery, so I can't say
describe
anything
this for
about
our
it.
audience who maybe
Right,
not
so
be Trekkers.
as a person who watches, I do watch both of these things. Star Trek, the new series,
Discovery.
The Discovery, takes place before the original Star Trek series.
Oh wow! Okay.
So we're actually now discovering like this more story about Spock and about Captain Pike and stuff like that.
Okay.
And it kind of flips Star Trek's lore on its head. As a big lore fan, person who loves stories and ongoing massive stories, things like Star Trek.
Yeah.
It's interesting in that aspect. But when it comes to Orville is much akin to Next Generation. It is a ongoing plot line that will continue the universe and expand human knowledge, air quotes for people who weren't watching this
Right.
on twitch.tv/thesillynerd. It's the same storylines I feel like I would have gotten during Next Generation,
Yeah.
but with a humor that I can only get
From Seth MacFarlane.
Seth MacFarlane.
And that's the thing. Like, I can't help but be in awe of the man every time I see him on screen when I see that whatever episode I'm watching is written by him. Because that's so much to fucking take on.
Did I tell you I ran into Adrienne Pavlicki at the grocery store?
That's
Because
badass.
she still like has a house in Austin.
Oh, wow.
She is very tall.
Yeah, I know that.
And if she is that tall, holy shit, Seth MacFarlane's like 7'30". That mother, like her height, I was like, oh my god, you're ginormous.
Yeah, she's big.
So do you really feel like that Orville speaks to a current generation in the way that maybe Star Trek is not?
100%.
Yes.
Again, I haven't watched Star Trek, but the thing I feel about, like, if you had, and it's because it's Seth MacFarlane, and he's always been very political in all of his shows. It's never been shied away from. But you get,
It's on the nose.
yeah. But the thing
To
about
the
his
point
humor,
of he satires himself.
right? And the thing about his humor when it came to stuff like Family Guy and all the spin-offs of that was that, it could get a little beaten in because he's the kind of guy who write the same joke 30 times in 30 episodes.
And that was the reason why he satires himself in multiple plot
Right.
lines. He's like, I you know what you're coming here for, and now I'm going to fuck with you because I can.
Right, but the thing about putting his humor and his view of politics in the world through a Star Trek lens is he's not always on. He doesn't always have to be funny, and sometimes he can just tell his story.
Again,
and
that's one of the
such
brilliance of
amazing
the Star
stories out
Trek
of it.
universe. Again, this is not a Star Trek show, but the brilliance of the Star Trek universe, it's a utopian society. Star Trek has always been utopian, and if you watch the Star Trek Discovery, it's a utopian society still in its younger years, figuring itself out and discovering all the backhanded bullshit that intergalactic politics are.
Yeah.
Which, if you love Star Trek, is fucking wonderful. If you don't like Star Trek, don't watch Discovery. It's boring as shit, and you'll be
Right.
very confused.
Gotcha.
Oh no, it's very confusing. The show is meant to be confusing unless you're a big fan of Star Trek shit.
Right.
Whereas things like Orville, holy shit, it's accessible, and that's why I fucking love it.
Right. Yeah, so I think that there's a lot of great things that'll come out of the Orville universe. I'm really glad that it got a second season.
Oh yeah,
and that
the
people are
second
giving
season
it a
has been
shot.
phenomenal, by
Yeah.
the way.
So, I mean, seriously, if you have not watched the show, I think it's on Hulu. You can actually watch the
Yeah, I
Orville.
believe so.
Yeah. So
Yeah, it's a Fox show, so yeah.
right. All right.
I mean, it's Hulu. Check it out. Also, now apparently, if you have Spotify, you get a free Hulu subscription.
Yeah, you get the commercial.
Oh, they're just giving out
subscription.
Hulu.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, no, like I today found out because since I pay for Spotify,
Yeah.
it was like you have Hulu now for free. I'm like,
Yeah.
cool.
It's their $5.99.
I already did.
Yeah, it's their $5.99 subscription. It's the one with commercials. But honestly, to get it for free with your Spotify subscription, that's some take over the world shit right there.
It really is.
That's
Like,
hardcore.
I'm paying $7 and getting the $5 subscription for free. So
Exactly.
that's fine with me.
All right, next up on the docket, Hector. If I told you that somebody here in America, in Hollywood, here in America, said that they wanted
Are you just
to
bringing out your
make-
inner WWE star?
I am
I'm
a little
loving
bit.
it.
Okay, because you're
embrace
doing
it.
that, in America, where we are Americans.
See, now you've ruined it because I was like,
You gotta let him carry the
right?
momentum.
So, Hector, if I
just-
told you that here in America, in Hollywood, in America, somebody wanted to make a live-action Gundam movie, your first impression, just me saying that statement, what do you feel in your heart?
I wish Pacific Rim 2 was good.
All right.
It was real bad.
What if I told you that somebody here in America wants to make a live-action Gundam movie and they've hired Brian K. Vaughan to do the script for it?
I mean, I'm holding my arm out so you can put it in my veins.
Now, this is the man who did things like Why the Last Man. He wrote the
Brian K. Vaughan.
He wrote the Ex Machina
Yes, please.
script. Like Brian K. Vaughan is one of the biggest writers, like comic books, movies. I mean, this man knows sci-fi.
Yeah, if you've never seen Ex Machina, fucking watch that movie. It's probably on Netflix.
Yes.
Watch it.
Like, so they've taken this man who makes this great sci-fi content and said, all right, you make Gundam. I was skeptical when I read the headlines of Hollywood wants to make Gundam, and then I read Brian K. Vaughan and I said, all my it was like angels.
Yeah.
The clouds opened up and angels came down with harps.
Because it can always be bad. It could be Doom Annihilation. You don't know
Right,
what you're
it
going to
could
get.
be Doom Annihilation, which we don't even have the notes this week, but Doom Annihilation is a thing that they're making. It is a direct-to-DVD video.
They released the 30-second trailer, and by that 30-second trailer, I could tell that it was like you Bull, like rose from the grave or whatever hole he's hiding in, and just decided to shit a movie.
Right. But no, Brian K. Vaughan tackling Gundam, I'm like, they might be able to pull this off. Like, it might be maybe the success of Battle Angel Alita is leading us to great things.
I hope so.
I think it's actually kind of funny that you say the success of Battle Angel Alita, because that was a movie that was predicted by every financial entity that studies filmmaking to fail horribly, including the international markets.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
And you know what it didn't do?
Didn't fail horribly.
I mean, it didn't do that great in the United States.
No, it didn't. But neither did
But-
World of Warcraft.
Right? And we're getting a sequel to that one at some point.
Shit,
so.
yeah.
All right, so let's jump into some other great space news. This one got my blood pumping. So the great thing about doing this podcast is keeping up with the news. Obviously, it's something I've always enjoyed, is diving into nerd news and making sure that, you know, I know the latest in kind of nerd pop culture. Originally, by the way, not 3 hours ago, in my notes, I had a notation that we were going to be talking about the rumors that Halo was going to be coming to PC.
Oh, yeah.
This has been an ongoing rumor for quite a while
Pretty much
now.
since the Master Chief Collection came to Xbox.
Yeah, because the last time a Halo game has come to PC was Halo Combat Evolved, the original Halo game. And this is the Master Chief Collection, the collection of Halo 1, 2, and 3.
Right.
And ODST, and
Reach.
now it has Reach.
So,
Which I, as a person who early adopted, on console at least, the Master Chief Collection, those things weren't part of it. It was supposed to be just 1, 2, and 3, and that was it. But since I got it day one, I'm a fucking Halo nerd. I love the lore.
before Destiny, he was a Halo nerd, let me tell you.
man. I'm a Halo nerd.
Imagine that Bungie made a thing that I love.
Yeah, right?
So before that, whenever the Master Chief Collection came out, it was just the first 3 games, and I was like, fuck yes, this is awesome, I don't care. And it bombed so badly because the PvP was so broken that they just kept giving more and more shit.
Yep.
And at this point, like, anytime I log into Master Chief Collection, it's like, here's more things! Have all of it! We don't care! I love the Halo team at Microsoft right now because they have done nothing.
343.
It's 343 Studios. I think it's Bonnie Ross is heading up the 343 Studios. She loves the Master Chief Halo universe and has been consistently making sure that the Master Chief Collection has gotten nothing but updates after updates. To this point, the last update that I remember getting for the Master Chief Collection was 80 fucking gigabytes.
Oh, wow.
It was the size of the game.
It was we fixed everything.
Yeah.
Patch.
And that wasn't. They've been fixing everything up until that point. There was the we fixed everything, but here,
Mind you,
but wait, but there's more.
This game came out like 4 years ago.
It
Yes.
was a while ago, and when it came out, it was broken.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, it was
Just
super
to give you
broken.
an idea of how long ago it came out. When it came out, the review I saw for it was by Total Biscuit, and he did not have cancer yet. That's how long
that
ago.
was a while ago.
That's how long ago that game came
Yeah.
out.
With that, Halo Master Chief Collection has come a long way over this period of time.
Right.
Halo 5 has also come. Bonnie, she's still
Yeah.
overseeing that, and the Halo Infinite. She's overseeing everything that 343 does.
We're going to talk about Infinite in a second.
And Master Chief Collection and Halo 5 have gone through so many great advancements in their gameplay to the point where the bad press that they had at the very beginning, I feel like it just comes off as anti-Microsoft at this point.
Yeah.
Because they've come so fucking far that these are literally the best first-person shooter games to play in the fucking world. And now it's coming to PC. And it is
Which actually makes them the best first-person shooter games in the fucking world.
No, it becomes the quintessential. Like Overwatch is great and all, but this is true skill PvP
No,
game.
and this is what I've been trying to explain to my friends who were saying like, whatever. You know, they're just my PC gaming friends who either never played a Halo or played Halo 1 back in the day. It's
The
like
fact that
you
they're
don't
getting
understand.
a storyline, holy shit, this is amazing.
Let's point to the fact that not only is Halo coming to PC, and again, like I was kind of saying at the
I mean,
beginning
I'm
of
lucky I'm
this,
a console player. I got to have amazing stories for years.
right.
Yeah.
I do want to point out, like, one of the things that was weird about this was that, you know, I already had the news set in stone. I'm getting ready to, like, leave work for the
Yeah.
day. And
Yeah, this was like 3 hours ago.
My newsfeed pops up, like, by the way, Halo PC announced.
This was something that they were...
and I was
they-
like,
they-
shit, I have to alter the show notes right now because we
was-
go on air in, like, 2 hours.
I was
Yep.
honestly expecting this announcement to be at E3.
Right.
Because this seems like a,
Yeah.
by the way, PC players, Halo has come.
Yeah.
And
But they're not
watch-
at E3.
So they're
now-
not at E3 yet, which makes me go, what the fuck do they have planned for E3?
So not only are we getting Halo, the Master Chief Collection, brought to PC, but the kicker to it is that we are going to be getting Reach bundled with it from the beginning.
Yep.
Awesome. So
Not-
you
not
actually
to
get the
mention-
origin story.
You get the
Not to
origin
mention,
story from the
they're
beginning.
releasing the games. They don't all come piecemeal. They're releasing them bit by bit for the PC to make sure everyone is working and on point on Windows 10, etc. In chronological order, which means we get Reach first.
So that was one of my questions I want to bring up when they said they had Reach. Is like, all right, they're going to do the same thing we had on console because we had access
Yeah.
to all these games already, where we played Halo 1, 2, 3, then Reach, and then
No, you
4
buy
and
the
5.
Master Chief Collection. You buy it on. You can buy it on Steam, by the way, which leads me to believe that they're probably pretty focused on multiplayer.
Honestly, the fact that Steam is releasing the Halo Master Chief Collection.
Yeah.
Holy, that is
That's a
The
big thing.
Huevos.
Yeah.
that
to
is
do
Microsoft going like, look at our dick is Halo.
Yeah.
And going everyone because it's not going to be going off Steam's servers for multiplayer.
Right.
That is going come to Windows. Yes. Come
Well, the
to
thing
us.
is, they
Come
were going
play
to
with
sell.
the rest of us.
They are also selling it on the Windows Store, but they
Yeah.
know because
But
of
there
what
was
happened with Gears of War, nobody will buy it on the store
But I
because
can-
nobody played the multiplayer for Gears of War on PC
But
because
I
it was
can
in the Microsoft
guarantee-
Store.
I can guarantee every PC version that's sold on Steam or in the Microsoft Store will still be playing together. It will still use
Oh,
the
yeah.
exact same Xbox Live system of going, make an Xbox Live account. Cool, you're done. Talk to all your fucking friends and do all the things.
Oh, no, I fully expect to have to sign into my Xbox Live account for the first time in
are
years.
you going to complain about that though? I mean,
No,
legit,
no, I
would
have
you
an account.
complain?
It doesn't matter, and it would be free to get one, so I wouldn't
Yeah.
care anyway.
Right.
And the fact that the Xbox Live account that you can get for free allows you to talk with the best fucking audio quality I've found in many systems. For free with all of your friends across multiple PCs, multiple systems, multiple games if you want.
It's
When
pretty
you're
much the
playing
best
it-
thing to use outside of Discord. It would be Xbox.
Discord
system.
is more confusing though because you have to be part of a room to join into that other
Well,
subroom.
that's what makes it better, though. It has that kind of
Friends list,
functionality.
It has that kind of like anonymity.
Yeah.
The friends list aspect, the fact that you are going to go play on Steam the Master Chief Collection I can be in my room on Xbox playing Destiny and go like, "Hey Hector, what are you doing?" I can literally send you a voice message or just hop into your chat line and go like, "Hey, what are you doing? Playing Halo. Cool, I'll leave you alone for a little bit so you can have that fun story element."
That is not how that Discord would go down. He would join your voice chat, he would breathe heavily into the mic, make some comment about like jerking 12 dicks, and then leave. Like that's how the actual story would go down.
No, that's what happens in Discord. And on Xbox, no, that's what happens for me and my friends on Xbox. I literally
Obviously, you didn't play Modern Warfare because let me tell you, it's a much different story.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not a Activision fanboy. I don't immediately go to whatever those games
Hey,
are.
on PC, I mean,
do it.
outside of the Titanfall games, I mean, it was all Call of Duty.
Yeah.
I mean, Overwatch has been great. Obviously, Apex Legends have been great. But when you talk about just, like, first-person shooting, like, old school, the old, like, Counter-Strike style, we had, you know, just Call of Duty. We had Call of Duty and... I mean, what else really is there to mention?
This is why I felt bad, honestly. Like as good as like Doom and everything else has been for first-person shooters on PC, I've always felt bad for them because they never had Halo, and now they get to have all the Halo, and I'm like, dude, you motherfuckers are you're in for an amazing journey.
No, it's people who don't understand Halo that are the ones that I'm trying to convince.
Yeah.
Or people, like I said, who maybe only played the first one back in the day, and they didn't really play the single player. Like, I'm talking about, like, the joy of playing through Half-Life 2 for the first time was this, like, waiting for it for, like, 5 years and then finally getting to play it that opening day. That's the joy I took into every Halo game
Hector brings
I
up a
played.
very interesting point. Microsoft is releasing how many Halo games on PC, and Valve has released literally
That's
nothing.
true. I will say
Yeah, no, Valve is not a game, game company
within
anymore.
10 minutes of this announcement, I went into my primary Discord, the Lone Star Vanguard, and I said, yeah, so if anybody wants me to be their team captain for Halo, let's go ahead and get a team together, and I'll go ahead and put out people competitively for this. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Reminds me, I need to get the streaming deck back from a friend of ours.
Okay, so we have a lot of Halo stuff that we've talked about in terms of the Master Chief Collection coming to PC and how important that is. But one of the things that we haven't talked about is one of the rumors in the Halo universe, and that is what's kind of coming around the corner for Halo Infinite.
Halo Infinite's coming out. So not a rumor.
It does exist.
It does exist.
Right.
We've already seen a part of a video, but Halo also did that to us before. We've been burned before on 343 Studios, but Bonnie Ross has come out and said this console generation, the current Xbox One X or S or whatever the fuck you want to call it, will have Halo Infinite on it.
Right.
That Halo Infinite is not a next. Everybody, we looked at the graphics and went, "That's running like 60 frames a second at 4K. That's
What
not
graphics? There's no
capable."
graphics. What are you talking about?
It was a cutscene.
It was a full motion video.
Yeah, the world that you saw could not run at 60 frames at 4K.
No, it couldn't, and it won't.
But it will on an X.
So let's talk about
Maybe.
we
No, it won't run at 60 frames at 4K on an Xbox One X.
Yes, it will.
I promise you it won't.
I
will
promise
bet
you it
you
will.
$100 that I know you don't have
Right,
now.
there we go.
It will not
$100.
run at 60K at 60 FPS at 4K.
60 at 4K
Period.
on the X.
Period. It will not.
It will, because they're going to use the same shit they did with fucking Forza and said, "Fuck you, it runs at 60 on 4K."
The Forza is a lie. You can't. It's a slideshow. That doesn't make
It's
any
not.
sense.
It's not even near as bad as what
All right,
Sony does.
Put your Microsoft fanboy dick down for a second. I want to talk a little bit about Halo Infinite. And what I want to talk about is specifically the rumors that are coming out of the game studios saying that Halo Infinite may be a games as a service kind of situation.
Okay.
Something like Apex Legends.
Yeah.
Something where you can basically continuously buy into Halo Infinite.
Well, games as a
It is-
service also implies games like Anthem and games like Destiny.
Right. And so it's this idea that you would buy the game, but you
Sadly,
would,
yeah, I
you
have
would-
to agree with Hector
It's
on
almost
that.
this
It makes
MMO
me mad.
mentality where you keep buying into it, you know,
Right.
every couple months, something like that. So with this rumor, and we don't, we do not have to spend time on this.
I have a question before we go any further. Would anybody have a problem with a game that came out, like let's say for $60, and they said every 3 months give us 20 more bucks, and we release a whole new season with new armor, new worlds, new maps, new everything?
I played Final Fantasy 14 for like
Yeah, yeah,
3
no,
years.
I mean,
I was
that's-
like, I
Does
played,
We've
anyone
been doing that
actually
for a
have
long
it? And this goes back to the WoW or EverQuest mentality of the. Do you really have a fucking problem with that?
No, I mean, a lot of people
really
just
don't.
did it for Anthem, and people are somehow still defending that piece of shit. But, I mean, people did that for Destiny, and, I mean, Destiny's still going and still has a player base to speak of.
But
Destiny's
the reason
fucking,
I bring this up, Tony, is this was specifically for you because you are, of the panel, the biggest Halo fanboy.
I love the world of Halo.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Is the idea of a infinite Halo universe, that you may not get a Halo 6 or a Halo 7, that you may get the Destiny version of Halo. Does that appeal to you, or do you want to have that $60 one-box experience start to finish?
If you're going to tell me that if I have to pay $20 every 3 months to get more Halo, I need to go to the room and jerk off because my dick's really hard.
Well, that's the thing, though. But, okay, so you know what Destiny wasn't? An amazing, immersive, first-person, single-player experience. And all of the Halos were. Well, up until ODST. I didn't play any of the ones after that.
No, ODST,
First off, ODST is the best.
according to
I
James,
love ODST.
ODST
I
was.
love ODST.
Reach was great. 4 was 3/4 learning steps, but so is Combat Evolved.
See, I didn't play 4 and I didn't play Reach, so I have no idea.
Reach,
but
oh my god, Reach is fucking amazing.
ODST
on PC,
and backwards.
There's a good chance I'm buying the Master Chief Collection on PC, but they don't automatically give it to me because I have it on console, which they should, because I'm a day one fucking subscriber to that fucking game. I will be there with you every fucking step of the way, right next to you, the fucking DMR, me like, fuck you, we kill everything. We are Spartans.
I promised Tony that I would go through ODST with him because I'm the sole defender. I'm the sole
I hate
defender of
ODST.
And
I hate it. It's
I love
bad.
it for its concept. The design was a tiny. I feel like they could have done one better, but overall, I really love it as a Halo game because you're not Master Chief, and because they could have done more to make you feel underpowered.
Personally,
yeah,
I feel like they are the boots on the ground people.
It had such a great cast.
They're not the super empowered troops, and so that
they are literally meat bags meant to fill up the void that we need to run across with their fucking flesh.
What if they made a Star Trek like game called Red Shirts? Like that's what ODST is.
That's not true at all. Okay, all right. So what you're saying, Tony, is that the idea of a Halo project in which you would buy into it in a subscription model, as long as the content was quality, you're totally down for it.
At this point, like I know 343 has got a good. Okay, basically everybody that worked at Halo or worked on Halo at Bungie is left to go back to work for 343 at this point.
Right.
So Halo is an amazing place right now.
Right. And Brooklyn,
Microsoft is an amazing place
to go on Brooklyn's comment, Halo Wars was amazing, by the way. I'm sorry that you fucking hated it, all right?
Was Halo Wars amazing?
Halo Wars...
It was fun if you were really drunk and playing with a friend.
Halo Wars, if you're...
I've played games like that.
It's how you get through all of Gears of War,
Halo Wars is an RTS
good
game,
point.
so Halo Wars and Halo Wars 2, if you like RTS games, are great. I didn't get much lore out of it because it's just moving troops to another place.
Here's the thing that we're not talking about, is that doing something like Halo Infinite doesn't just mean we would, instead of buying a new Halo game every 3 years, we would just buy into a new Halo game once every 6 months or whatever. But more importantly, what it does is it creates an ecosystem in which the multiplayer is that multiplayer going forward. And the reason I bring this up before you guys are looking at me kind of funny, when you talk about Halo, people always talk about which Halo had the best multiplayer. Was it 1? Was it 3? Was it 2?
Yeah.
I like this one the best.
Honestly, Reach has the best multiplayer, in my opinion.
But what Halo Infinite says is, no matter where we are at the Halo story, that multiplayer will remain consistent across the universe.
Right.
It will create this universal... It will never change from what it is. It will evolve in little bits and pieces, but it will never be such a drastic change the way from Halo 1 to Halo 3.
You have to give me a little bit of headcanon on this one, because this is just my theory of what's going to happen with
This is all theoretical.
With Halo Infinite. Halo Infinite is meant to be an ongoing world. The Halo ring is take a 50-mile stretch of the world, cut it literally the circumference of the world. That's how fucking big the Infinite Ring is. Right. The ring, Halo rings are not fucking small. They are ginormous. They literally have their own ecosystems.
Oh yeah, they have weather
So
patterns.
we could start in one area and move our way around the ring, discovering more and more things, because it's not just a round in a circle, it's also its depth for what created the damn thing. Right. Mountain ranges and shit exist on these things. That's how ginormous these things are. With that being said, The PvP aspect of that is what we would have to do akin to the lore in Destiny, which is the PvP exists as nothing but a training exercise. That's the way Microsoft has been handling the PvP in all the Halo games since they had to start adding lore for why you're shooting each other.
Right.
Once they realized, oh fuck, we have to actually write a reason why you're doing this, they went like, this is training exercises, there's a reason why you respawn, it's just your mind going into these things. It's a whole separate thing. Whenever you get into Infinite, you can have things like Destiny, like Anthem, like all these other giant world things where you can go for endless distances and discover an area. And oh, look, 2 months from now, this wall fell down that was made of ice, and now you can go to this other new area.
Right.
Think about that aspect. And then the PvP is more of a like, oh, we just locked out this one area, we just go kill each other for fun, which is what the training exercises are. And the fact that I know Microsoft is currently going for on the Xbox One X 60 frames at 4K for every fucking game that they release. I'm still calling you out on this shit.
It's not running at 60 frames.
It's going to. Brooklyn fucking called out the handshake. Otherwise, I'll pay you $100. I'll give you like one really bad blowjob. Just one really bad blowjob. That's how economy works.
I feel like if I was going out for bad blowjobs, I could get 2 for $100.
Right?
I mean, you don't know what the economy's like out there.
I don't. I know it's getting
It's
rough.
South by, so right now there's a lot of human trafficking going
There's
on,
a
so it's
premium.
very cheap.
And we will be talking about that a little bit later.
Yeah.
So I think to kind of put a bow on this whole thing, I think we're really excited about Halo coming to PC, obviously. And I think the future of Halo looks really bright. I think this last year of Halo news alone has reinstilled faith in a company and a franchise that we did not have for a long time.
Right.
So dial it all back to Capcom at the very beginning. We were saying that there's so
Capcom came amazingly far.
That's true.
Like, there's so many companies that are like losing our faith, and we have companies like 343. We have companies like Capcom stepping up. In a world where we have anthems coming out, we do have these few heroes. When others have failed our city, we have our arrows coming out to save us at this point.
So I feel like the thing about Halo is, and I said this the minute Master Chief Collection was announced, I said if they released that on PC, they'd sell 1 million copies. Period. Just
I remember you saying it on the show. It's like they'll sell like fucking crazy if as soon as they put it on
And
PC.
the fact that they're putting it on Steam and not being dicks about it and leaving it like solely on the Microsoft Store, easily they're going to sell 1 million copies. I'll stake my claim on it.
Yeah.
Everybody, I mean, $60 for that many games is. It's an amazing value.
And considering the way that Microsoft hopefully is about to blow up, I hope that this move is what I think it is, and that is reinvigorating excitement for Microsoft as a company and as a service. Because if they can do that and then launch an amazing next-gen console, then they've already kick-started their hype train, basically, by releasing this.
That actually leads me into kind of one of my thoughts where, if I'm looking forward, it's not our E3 episode yet, but this does lead me to E3 ideas. If they're announcing the Master Chief Collection now, that means they have some big dick fucking energy going on.
Because I'm thinking,
E3.
I mean, we all know that we think this year for Xbox, I think this year for Xbox is the announcement and 2020 is the release. We're super unsure about Sony, but if Microsoft wanted to release a year before Sony, they could.
I have a question. So this is Brooklyn gave us a question. Who would get a blowjob from? I'm not.
Who would you get a blowjob from if they were personified? Anthem.
If you took Anthem or Fallout 76 and you personified them,
which one would get a blowjob?
Anthem. I'm all about production value.
Honestly, I'm gonna have to go with Anthem because I don't want to suck an irradiated dick.
That's true. Good points.
I think we should leave that there.
This topic just got weird.
Leave that there.
We have one last little bit for the weekly roundup here, or for the weekly raid, and that is going to be about Blizzard and good old games. The thing that you never thought would happen has actually happened. It was announced this week that Diablo was coming to good old games. The original,
not 2, not 3.
No, Diablo 1.
Original
Diablo 1.
Diablo.
Come here, stay a while, Diablo.
Stay a while and listen.
And
that's what I meant. Yes,
and here,
I fucked that up. How many
now-
times did I say that on this show?
All the time. So not only did Blizzard re-release Diablo on good old games this week for like $10.
Yeah.
But also they give it. They have
a tenner for Diablo.
Tenner.
I mean, it's not going to be the first tenner I paid for Diablo.
Yeah.
Like I pretty much bought Diablo about 100 times.
But
at
when
this
you
point, it
pay
feels
$10,
like.
you not only get the game Diablo, you get 2 versions of it. You get
Okay.
the absolute original, like 20 FPS kind of
Lord.
Diablo, but
like 640 by 40
there's
max
also
resolution.
an updated Windows 10 version that fixes a lot of the bugs in the game, like goes through and kind of like cleans everything up and says this is probably the optimal way to play Diablo.
That version of Diablo is the one that whenever the yearly Diablo 1 release comes in Diablo 3.
Oh, yeah.
Because you get to play Diablo 1 in Diablo 3
Yeah.
for a month every year. That is the one they're releasing as the better version, which is you're running Diablo 3, but it has a shitty filter on it to make it run as Diablo
And
1.
Here's the thing.
And honestly, it's way better.
Here's the thing about this: is that not only is it Diablo that we've gotten Diablo that just dropped out of fucking nowhere,
Yeah.
right? Like just fucking
Certainly didn't drop out of Blizzard.
right, exactly. But we also found out that Blizzard's been in talks to go ahead and take Warcraft, Orcs and Humans, and Warcraft 2, and bring those to good old games.
Do you know why? All right,
Hold on.
Come on.
Before
We have to talk about why.
Before we do any of this, Hector, you and I had a conversation at work when this whole news broke. I was like, "Oh man, like this is this was our Wednesday where we go out for lunch and we go to buy comics and we talk about either political things or nerd things. Those are the only 2 categories that we have at our lunches.
Pretty much.
And I was like, man, I can't believe that Blizzard went ahead and went with good old games and released Diablo with good old games instead of on the Battle.net platform.
Right.
And you said
They'd only do that if they thought they couldn't make any money off of it.
And they will not make any money because they're
There
not
was
making
one other
any
thing you
money
said.
off of
What's
the
the other thing I
weekly,
said?
off of monthly services.
the other thing that you said that I think is more important is that they didn't want to have to host the
yes.
online networks
Yeah.
required to play Diablo and Warcraft.
The old BattleNet.
That's what I was saying
not
about
worth their
monthly
time.
services.
Right.
If let's say Blizzard decided to,
Let's not forget the multiplayer for Diablo. I mean, it still is on PC, but the multiplayer for Diablo 1 and Diablo 2 were entirely 100% free, microtransaction free. You just got online and you played. It was
that
no
was
big
because
deal.
the internet was at 24 kilobits per second, and no one could benefit from making that.
Hey, AOL made a lot of money
Hey
on
man,
that
downloading a
connection speed.
JPEG of boobs took a long time, all right?
Too long. Jesus.
ICQ chat rooms is where I jerked off a lot to as a child. I'm just
Text!
saying.
Wow, that is too much. That is too much information. So, do we think this is
Why is ICQ not still a
a
thing?
good? It is still a thing, actually.
It should not be a thing.
Do we think this move from like Blizzard taking their old titles and just putting them on good old games really is for the benefit of all gamers worldwide instead of hosting it on their own platform?
It's great for gamers. It's bad for the bottom line for GOG.
Well, I'll tell you this. GOG has never been into it to make a ton of money. GOG, their like sole mission in life at this point, it seems, is to bring games you can't play anymore to the PC so that you can play them again.
They archive old games so that they're always available to everybody.
They recently
everywhere.
did Soldier of Fortune 2, which was impossible to play anymore.
I don't even remember that game.
The games was amazing, and all the Soldier of Fortune games were. They did Jade Empire last year.
Yeah.
Fuck, that game was cool. That's an old BioWare game. You can't get that shit anywhere.
I remember
you
the
have to go
Soldier of
buy
Fortune
an
movies.
Xbox.
Do they have anything to do with them?
No, you have to go buy an Xbox
Now I'm
and
confused.
put in a Jade Empire disc if you want to play Jade Empire. Not anymore.
Yeah, that's very true. Good Old Games does a lot of great things, and them having the Diablo property just makes me happy inside, especially now that the Zerg swarm has infected Blizzard in the sense that Activision has latched on and said, we are a part of this process now. And I'm like,
I honestly, it brings me to like, this is a side subject. I think that we all know, we've talked multiple times on the show, how Activision Blizzard, how Activision have done horrible things.
what is their couple name, by the way? It's Activision Blizzard. Like, you have a couple name for that?
No, because you have to
Blizzavision?
BlizzVision?
No, they can't have a couple name because the way it's differentiated into multiple companies. Activision and Blizzard are two separate companies. Activision Blizzard is a sub company of those two companies, and that's one that's done some really horrible shit. And then you have Activision separately, which does the Call of Duty games, and Blizzard, which does things for World of Warcraft, and then a fifth company called something I don't fucking remember the name of, and they make things that nobody remembers. But the entire fucking point of this was to say that Activision, this is Blizzard, the separate entity of Blizzard, out of the Activision Blizzard / Activision Blizzard, going, what if we just give the fans what they want?
Heaven forbid we actually do that.
So here's the thing. They tried that. No. They tried to give the fans what they wanted. If everyone remembers...
We can't say that word on the show.
Yeah,
Brooklyn,
I'm not allowed to say that. So if we remember, last year on BattleNet, they re-released StarCraft 1.
Yep.
If that had been...
And they gave it away for free.
If that had been at all successful, we would be seeing this on BattleNet.
Oh,
Yeah.
good point. Good point.
Hector makes a very good point that had StarCraft done better...
They even offered to sell it with up-res textures and everything. Like,
I know, like,
they tried.
I remember talking about that on the show and going like, hey, I mean, I downloaded the free version.
Sure.
And the upgraded version is like, do I really need that? Because Blizzard had already taught me that I can play Diablo 1 inside Diablo 3 and not really give a shit.
Yep, that is very
so
true.
I don't really need upgraded graphics
Right.
as much as I actually need upgraded graphics.
All right, let's go ahead and wrap this whole thing up. That's everything we have for the weekly raid this week. We're going to take a small break. When we come back, we'll be going into our final segment, The Boss Room.
There's got to be a big boss joke we can do for the boss. Or...
Okay, so future notes for this that we'll hopefully remember past drinking. That ran for roughly 45 minutes, which is
about right.
Which is what seems about right for an overall accompanying section. I need a point to stop and save.
Okay, that's fine.
I need a point at about 30 minutes. Like, let's say it's an hour. I need two distinct sections to go.
I will
stop and save the goddamn file.
I will definitely do that. I will definitely make that space for you. Go ahead and save, and that way we can jump into the boss room.
I'm gonna go pee. I figured y'all were gonna have a cigarette or whatever.
Nope, we are jumping right in. We're going straight in.
I don't smoke.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This is awesome to have you guys like just sitting here talking with us and responding. Man, it's so I know that at least a few of you do listen to the show on a weekly basis. Like, what is your opinion about the new format? I know the new format's a bit weird and it seems a bit jumbled, but I promise there's like a method to the madness.
Right. I feel like so far just being a part of it, it obviously doesn't feel, I guess, as organized, but at the same time, it's nice to be able to jump from topic to topic, from games to movies to games to movies to comics to whatever we're doing. It feels like the flow of our conversation is interrupted less, because how often in comics do we start talking about movies, and how often in video games do we start talking about
and that
comics
was kind of
vice versa?
That was kind of my opinion about the whole thing going into remaking and remodeling the show itself. Was this issue that we've had since the very beginning, where we've always broken things into levels. And it worked really well. Like, it helped me organize my notes in that way. But there was always this question of like, okay, so where does this topic go? Where does this topic go? Can we include this tech topic that's relevant to games, but that's not really a games topic, but it's tech related? Like, do we talk about that? Because it doesn't fulfill the parameters of the section that we're doing. By going into the weekly raid, what I'm doing is trying to distill the essence of what we're doing, which is debating and discussing current nerd news topics, but not putting a limiter on it anymore. It is no longer 3 comic topics, 3 movie topics. It is now, what are the most relevant topics that we should be debating and discussing? And then what maybe we take at the end is something that we've never had the chance to speak about before. Right. So that was the reason that I took this whole thing out of control and broke it down the way that, like, again, I said there's a method to the madness, the way that I set this whole thing up, and it's going to be a lot of improvement over the next couple of weeks, where I'm tweaking it and I'm making it feel a bit better. But honestly, I'm happy that it's turning out.
No, much like Brussels sprouts and butt sex. The further I get into it, the more comfortable I feel with it.
You could top me off a tiny bit.
Oh, have you tried Goldfist yet, Hector, by the way?
Oh, yeah, Goldfist.
Goldfist is fucking... My favorite is the description. I don't remember if I read this on the show or not, but this is something I have to tell everybody. Goldfist smells like sunshine and shines like gold, whilst quietly punching you in the back of the head.
Well, now I have to taste it. Shit, I haven't tried it.
Go ahead and open it up. It's good. I got to finish my Sundowner, which I'm a little bit mad that they didn't give money to Alzheimer's awareness or Alzheimer's... medicine, because
you just end up donating to the Trump campaign for the beer like Sundowner.
Yeah. Old people that don't know what they're doing.
Good old. Well, I mean, if I was sitting next to Tim Apple, I don't know what I'd call him.
His name's Tim Apple because he works at Apple, because you inherit every company, right?
He's never been part of a company whose name wasn't inherited from his father. Oh my god.
Oh god.
More scotch
It's
for you, sir.
Oh, thank you.
No, dude, fucking-
something I forgot to mention.
Goldfish
in the
is
goddamn
fucking
thing.
amazing, and it's also really high alcohol.
Yeah, it tastes
Yeah,
pretty
we are
good.
drinking a 14-year-old scotch right
Yes,
now
and it
while
is
we do this.
phenomenal.
I am legally not allowed to be in 100 feet of that.
So I started playing Path of Exile again with the new season dropped last Friday. I hadn't played a Diablo-like looter in a really
This is a
long
good point.
time.
We left out a lot of
It's
comics
really good.
and media news, just in general. But that's going to happen from week to week.
So,
I mean,
yeah,
Some weeks are better for comics, some weeks are better for movies, and some are better for games. We've
I,
always done
I
this
would like to
with
think
E-
that
E3
you
and
actually
shit like
win with our irreverent banter about bullshit.
So the whole point of the
not the
distilling
topics,
all
it's
the
us.
three
That's
sections
important.
down was that there are some weeks where comic book news takes over. There's some weeks where movie news takes over. And so by giving us a more flexible format, that allows us to take something like a Cannes Film Festival or an E3 and make it the point of the episode without it being a special episode.
Yeah,
Right.
Because the news
before
is
we always
based
had
on
it like
everything.
E3 was its own separate thing, or like the Academy Awards were its own separate thing.
Right.
And this is more like a that fucking happened.
Like we say we're at 300 episodes, but this is just...
Why don't we have a
we
separate
have
show
way
called
more.
That Fucking Happened?
It really should have been the name of the show. Okay, we do need to jump into the boss room, so let's go ahead and just load this thing up.
Yeah,
and
let's
do
hit
it.
it.
Yeah, I don't have a graphic
It's
for
the
this
boss
at
fight.
all.
It's the boss room. Boss room.
It's his thing.
I'm giving him inspiration. There's just an idea.
I like
you don't
that
have
a
to
lot.
run with it.
I'll use it later.
All right.
I can't use it.
You don't have to do it today.
It's too soon. I
Practice
can't just
it in the
use
mirror
that.
once or
You
twice.
can't max headroom the whole thing
Yeah,
from
yeah.
the get-go.
Give me. Boss room.
All right, this is the boss room. This is our main talking point for the podcast.
Felt that one worked.
Sometimes related to the news, sometimes not. All right, so this week we're going to be talking about a weird topic, and I'm hoping you'll hang with us for this because
I'm not sure if I'm hanging with you for this.
you are hanging a little bit to the left today. So
I generally go more towards the right, honestly.
you're having an off day. What can I say?
No.
So with this topic, it sounds a bit boring on the surface, but I promise it's actually really fascinating. So we live here in Austin, and right now South by Southwest is going on.
Yeah.
And so for us, we know what that means, and
You're
what
not allowed to leave your apartment for about 2 weeks.
we know what that means and what it means to the world of video games and entertainment and all this stuff. But a lot of people outside of Austin don't know what South by Southwest actually is, what it actually means.
There is
to be-
one location in the United States I can think of that understands the annoyance of having a bunch of people from out of town constantly coming in and destroying everything, and that's Las Vegas.
That's true.
This is
Yeah,
the-
that's
this-
understandable.
Las Vegas is designed for it, though. It's shored up like it's trying to prepare for Katrina, and it's just for outsiders.
Yeah.
So-
Whereas Austin is meant for like college students and nerds, and then every so often we get inundated by these annoying people who want to do industry stuff, and we want them to go away.
All right, hold on to all your rage and anger for this. So what we're talking about this week is kind of demystifying media festivals, whether this be an E3, whether this be a South by Southwest. Let's talk about media festivals in general. So before we confuse everybody and everybody starts tuning out of this fucking episode, for the panel, how would you describe a media festival? Not in a negative or positive way, just a general textbook dictionary
Bunch of
definition.
jackholes showing up to a place to be fucking
That
annoying.
is the exact opposite of what I just asked you to do.
So,
Yeah, well, jackholes is the best description I can
so
give
the
them.
best way is to a lot of them we can describe are the ones who started while we've been alive. I'm talking about the best ones for us are stuff like Comic-Con or PAX or
Comic-Con existed before we were alive.
things like that before Tony fact checks me some more. These festivals are usually started. Comic-Con too, Cannes Film Festival too, like older stuff. South by is a perfect example of this as a way to get smaller, younger artists to be noticed. So they all gather in a specific place during a specific week where they know everyone will be around and they play their fucking heart out. Either they're showing their pet project movie, or they're playing their music that only a few people in their local town have seen, or they're showing off their video game that they've been developing in their goddamn basement for a couple of years.
What was it?
And nobody is looking at.
Cannes 1993 fundamentally changed filmmaking forever. Because you had Robert Rodriguez, Quentin Tarantino, and that fat kid from New Jersey all making movies and all releasing them at the same place for the same audience to enjoy, and fundamentally changing how we make movies.
Yep. And that's what I'm talking
That is
about.
the
And that
importance of these things.
And that is what these festivals always start out as. And that being said, they become, as we move on, more and more corporate affairs, the more attention they get. And the reason they get attention is because they are what we like to call a kingmaker. If you get a winner of a Cannes Film Festival now, you were probably in a very short list of movies looking at Oscar nominations, or at the very least, some People's Choice Awards.
You're going to start
like
moving
that.
some shit. Whenever I gave you 3 names, and I may have been wrong on the year. I don't think it was 1993. I'm not exactly sure the year.
It's pretty close.
But close enough to where I can say there's 3 filmmakers that all showed a movie that year and went on to fundamentally change what filmmaking is for regular, everyday fucking people.
Yeah, and that happens all the time.
And so you're kind of diving into this topic,
Not just art nerds.
which was kind of my next question about this for the panel, which is, what are some of the more larger, more notable festivals, and what purpose do those festivals serve? Right? It isn't just a party, right? It isn't just
Well,
it's
Austin,
usually-
South by has turned into a party.
Well,
Right.
we're in Austin and we party all the
time. It was
time.
always a party, but because it was always about indie music, and indie music always attracts drunk people, and drunk people are always a party.
We're going to play at a concert venue that holds 12 people, and we're all going to be shit-faced.
They're going to be shit-faced, and the band's going to be shit-faced, and the sound guy's going to be shit-faced.
Yeah,
And
everyone's shit-faced.
That's South by Southwest, and it still is. But now
and we're going to do it at 10 in the morning.
But now it's a lot more corporate, and South by has the benefit of being both a music and a film festival, and even
technology,
just technology and interactive
television,
media.
and it's grown too big, is what I keep saying.
Well-
South by has grown to the point where it is uncontrollable with the amount of destruction it brings into us.
And you'd say the exact same thing about something like Comic-Con. I mean, there's nothing but complaints about Comic-Con because it used to be, just a place for comics and comic people and comic nerds to see their favorite
When it started in the 70s,
authors.
totally. That's what it was supposed
Oh
to
yeah,
be.
I remember the backlash when Twilight did their film premiere.
But think about why Twilight went there. It's because that's where the fucking eyes were, right? And it needs to be in front of those eyes, and that's what happens to South by. That's what happened to ACL so many years ago.
That's actually honestly the problem with a lot of the internet shit is influencers. People who go to a place to influence other people through Instagram.
You say that
or
literally as we are that thing.
Yeah,
No,
and just
we're
in-
not that fucking thing.
just in our
we're
lifetime.
not influencing 150,000 people because we drank this tea and they're all going to drink this tea now.
Well, just in our lifetime, we saw it happen to
We're in
PAX.
the influencing of 5 people who maybe want to give us money one day.
Right, but you had Penny Arcade, an internet comic about
PAX.
video games, decide to hold a festival in their small little area of the Pacific Northwest, in and around the Seattle area, to find indie game studios, whoever could get the bus fare to travel to Seattle, you can show off your game, we're going to rent out a hall. And now there's PAX East and PAX South and San Antonio of all fucking places.
Well, that's because they have an international airport that's the most centralized thing in Texas, and they also have PAX Super South, which is on fucking Australia.
And you'll see at PAX, now you'll see the latest, Sony AAA blockbuster coming down the pipe.
They were just
That'll have a
announcing
presence
what
there.
at PAX they were teasing us with fucking Borderlands 3.
Yep, they're teasing with the Borderlands 3
Seriously,
right now
like
for PAX.
it's been a while since I played some Borderlands because it doesn't have that
God, I love
MMO-esque constant evolving world that I want from a Halo Infinite. But if they came up and be like, by the way, Borderlands 3 is an ever-changing, growing world, I'm like, fuck you, I'm involved now.
Yeah, no, I'd be super
Okay.
involved with that.
I'm in that.
So we kind of jumped into the meat of the festivals and what they mean and kind of what they represent. So there is an aspect of the festivals where people assume that these festivals are just a bunch of going out, watching a movie, drinking, copious amounts of alcohol, hanging out with other celebrities.
Right.
But there is an aspect to it that really is business. When we talk about these media festivals, when we talk about things like a PAX or we talk about things like a South by Southwest, the misconception is that it's party all the time. But there is a business aspect, and you guys are big film buffs. You guys love film.
Yeah.
And so what is the business side that kind of goes down at these festivals, when somebody brings their film to Cannes or brings it to, Toronto?
Well, Steven Spielberg was actually just complaining about this.
Yeah,
because
that's actually there was the same point that I was about to make. Yeah.
Netflix spent
Now
50
Keith.
Netflix spent $50 million trying to advertise Roma at film festivals around the country before it was up for its Oscar nomination because it knew that's how to get the buzz buzz going. That's how to get the hype train rolling, so that when it comes time for these judges to not watch the goddamn movies and vote on them anyway, that they would have at least heard of the motherfucker.
Okay, so actually, Hector and I had 2 opposing points on this, but still go back to the exact same thing.
Now, Keys.
His was about the end result,
Yeah.
and mine was the beginning result, and that is things like you have multiple film festivals all the United States. You have that one in Colorado. I can't remember the fucking name of it right now. It's an S. It's not Starbucks, but
Right.
something else.
It might as well be called that at this point.
Yeah, at this point, that's what it turned into. You have the New York Film Festival, you have the LA Film Festival, you have Austin. We have these multiple places for people to show off short films, and that's pretty much the only way you're ever going to get the Academy Awards anyway, is if you go to a festival and have your short film shown.
Yeah.
But you have the ability to submit your film for judging, and that judging isn't judging by people to give you awards.
No.
That judging is by the people who want to buy your
Right.
movie.
You're trying to generate hype. You're trying to get someone to a publisher to buy it. Hopefully,
if you're going to have your film shown at Cannes, it's not about look at the awards my movie could win, which you do want.
But by the way, BT Dubs, a lot of these film festivals, if you're an up and coming indie artist, and I only bring this up because like Tony and I were raised together, and I remember his dreams of being like this indie movie dude.
Yeah, I wanted to make some bad movies about people being angry about things. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
would have thought?
I think
it ended up being a podcast. Who knew?
Right.
I'm waiting to my 60s to do it.
Right. But these film festivals, you don't just show up and drop your film reel on the table. A lot of these you actually have to pay to be submitted just to get in for the opportunity to be
Yeah, no,
reviewed.
it's not like I made a thing, please let me in your door. It's I made a thing, here's $100,000.
Right.
And then
It's all word
and then
of
they
mouth.
let you in the door. And then through that door is Netflix and Amazon and Hulu going, fuck you, we want to buy the thing.
Yeah.
So these are more gatekeeping
Yes.
than we had with anything else. These festivals, things like South by, things like Cannes, at least for on the filmmaking side, and actually no, South by for music,
And-
is gatekeeping music from other people.
To be fair,
unless you have enough money to be on board.
Hold on. To be fair, just to get our facts in check here, most film festivals
Not saying
are
conspiracy, it's conspiracy.
not for profit.
Correct.
Okay. So you have
The festival itself is not there to make money.
You pay an entry fee, but that just
Right.
goes to hosting the thing. Whereas something like
Paying
South,
for all the ridiculous things you have to.
whereas
end up
South
paying
by
for.
Southwest here in Austin is a for profit.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely
There's a
for-profit.
reason why they've grown this large, and actually, and not in a short amount of time. It's taken many years. They've been snail trailing this fucking growth to the point where now you can't live here and function for 2
To
weeks
just
out of the
pull
year.
excuse me, to pull a great word out of the dictionary, it feels very opulent.
It does. It does. It feels
very opulent.
amazingly opulent.
Thank you for bringing up the next season of Destiny 2, the Seasons of Opulence. I'm not joking. That's actually the name of it.
Oh,
and
Lord.
now we get to talk about Destiny.
God damn it!
No more
Now we have to
Destiny.
start drinking every time you start talking about Destiny.
How are we not? So anyway.
How are we not drinking all the time ever?
No, but the thing is, and the thing about these festivals, just from a more human perspective, if we can break off into that, is they're really fun to be at. If I don't know, I've never been to a Comic-Con. I hear it's just a swamp fog of armpit mist and
I don't even care.
and lines.
I want to go at least once.
but I want to, but I really want to.
Too much.
I really want to
It's
just
just
like
take
wave
what
at
you
Nathan
want and
Fillion
add more.
as if I know him and have him awkwardly wave and smile back at me, and like I'll be able to go home. That's all I want. But here at South by, just this last Saturday, I accidentally got in to see a movie very few people have ever seen, and it was awesome. And the director and the cast were there to talk to me afterwards about the movie. It was fucking
Yeah,
cool.
you could do like random shit. Like
I've done that for different movies and concerts, and so they're like, "What are you doing? Nothing. Come see this."
Yeah.
Okay.
Why not?
Why did I see this band that is now blown up 4 years later? This is weird. Like I don't know what's going on.
Let's not forget that at the same festival where I accidentally saw an indie movie, Us just premiered.
That's true.
Yeah.
The new Jordan Peele movie looks so good.
Can we just like communally not talk about that until I get to see it?
Well, it comes out at the end of the month.
I have not even watched the first trailer. I don't care.
Just don't.
It said Jordan Peele made
comes
a
out in like
movie,
3 weeks.
and I went, "Okay, shut the fuck up till I get to see it."
Okay, so let's break this whole thing down. Now we're in the middle of South by here in Austin. Now we've discussed what these festivals are. So let's get into the meat of it. on the surface, what good do these expensive media festivals do? Only
They
answer this
bring
question.
a lot of money into the local community by giant companies who don't fucking know better.
Of course.
I love that
No,
Tony
that-
takes
that
that
is
and
great.
still finds a way to make it negative when I ask for a positive.
Let's.
It is a
It
positive.
would not be this show otherwise.
No, because they are going to. These companies are not going to exist in 5 years.
Let me
They're not
talk
gonna
about
exist
some
in 2
games.
years. They will dump their entire fucking amount of money sitting in a bank on a let's have 5 bands show up and display a thing, and maybe people will like us.
There's not
and they're
a-
not going to. It's just a failed idea.
There's not a single super giant game that would be successful if it wasn't for festivals. And I'm talking Bastion and Transistor and soon to be Hades something. Hades.
Oh, the Dark Souls one.
Yeah. There is not a single behemoth game that would be successful if it wasn't for these festivals like E3 and like PAX. That a Battle Block Theater and Castle Crashers and
I somewhat
about
disagree with
movies?
this, though.
What about things like Hereditary or The Babadook?
again, especially with something very close to our hearts, horror movies. A lot of this stuff would not be mainstream if it wasn't for being shopped around at festivals. There's a reason Jordan Peele brought us to South by Southwest, is because a lot of horror
He
movies
wants to
have
see
been-
who wants to buy it.
Oh yeah,
A lot of horror movies have been discovered
like,
here.
This is the most
A lot
hipster
of
thing that
horror
I'll ever
movies.
say, but I watched The Babadook at the IFC Theater in New York, a theater that only has like 4 screens
Well,
basically.
yeah, it's the IFC. That means they
And-
bought into it
Yeah,
to
and
show
there's
it.
only like 4 screens there, and I flew to New York and went and watched The Babadook because I didn't realize. It would
See, what
become
you didn't
popular.
know, there was a
But-
good chance that had already shown here in Austin.
But because those things have been shown, like it got put on all the screens
Yeah.
eventually. The Babadook became a huge hit because
Yeah.
of these small independent film festivals that it went to.
Yeah, and stuff like that is what makes these festivals a positive experience. I named some video games, there are movies, there are definitely fucking artists. I mean, the best one I can think of right now, just off the top of my head, is Alt J. Alt J was made popular by touring tiny little circuits and tiny little festivals, and I had started listening to them when they were recommended to me by a friend of mine.
What kind of music is that?
Alt J, think like somehow more British and a little bit more techno-y version of Radiohead, I guess. I don't
Okay.
know. It's kind of hard to describ as a musical genre.
Why do
You
just-
lost me at
why-
Radiohead.
You literally just described hell.
Yeah, I was gonna say that sounds like brutal.
It's really great. The first album was great. I'm sure I could name it, or at least play you 2 songs that you would recognize from them. That being said, it wasn't until I saw them at South by, just a little bit after I discovered them, that they were suddenly everywhere. And stuff like that is what happens for these smaller artists at these festivals. That's
All right,
what
so
makes it positive.
I will give South by Southwest one redeeming factor in the fact that I discovered the band Beards through South by Southwest because they're an Australian band who only does songs about people with beards, and all their songs are about beards, and they all have beards, and they played here. And I watched
And now
them.
he has a beard.
Oh Lord!
I
Okay,
had a
You gotta
beard,
work
I
on
had
your
a
beard
beard
game a little
prior to this.
Right now you've got a homeless. You gotta work on your beard.
Right now I have a
So,
homeless. At the time I had a decent beard.
So another thing, like the Power of South by Southwest,
But that's a band that I never would have found unless it was like, what the fuck is this?
Right.
And so it was like, it's a band about beards that sings about beards with beards. I'm like, I will go see that because it sounds fucking ridiculous.
I wasn't introduced to an incredibly prolific French pop artist that I never ever would have heard of ever in my life, but I accidentally saw them at South by, and the band, the lead singer, Stromae, just. I listened to them for the next year and a half. They became a part of my life, and I never would have known about them if it weren't for South by.
This was many years ago. I have the poster on the wall when I go to see the revival tour. Frank Turner is one of the best artists in the world right now. He's known by like at least 1 billion people.
Yeah.
I was at South by going to see the revival tour, and I was like, I just want to see these bands that I like play.
Yeah.
Because they were doing a thing and it happened to coincide the same weekend. And I was just sitting there talking to some fucking English guy. And I was like, oh yeah, I love this music. This is what I'm here for. This is what I'm doing. And then he gets on stage and is the lead singer. I'm like, oh, fuck, okay, I really wish I hadn't said such horrible things earlier. Because I was talking to the guy for like an hour and a half. Like, we're just like, that's what we're doing. Because it was
Just shooting the shit.
It was endless free alcohol and snacks.
it
So
is
we're like,
true.
we're just like eating and drinking because that's all we're going to do.
A lot of these
and
festivals-
then I'm like, holy shit, you're fucking this like internationally famous artist. And
Just
that's one of the things that are fun about South
A
by.
lot of these festivals
there are
do
bats.
break down the gap between
They do.
the stars on the screen and the average Joe.
The stars in anything, not just on screen or in music or in video games. It all encompasses. It's the show up to a thing you like together and talk to people about what you like. That's what the point of them is supposed to be.
right.
It's not meant
So-
to. It's meant to like help encourage businesses.
Right.
But at the same time, it's meant to cross ideas.
So now
to-
we have all the positive stuff that we've talked about here. Let's get into the kind of nitty gritty about this.
Yeah.
I know Tony's about to go off.
I mean, I just spent like the
What-
entire time talking about the negatives.
What is the negatives of these festivals, whether they be music, whether it be video, whatever the medium is? What is the negative side effect?
Outside of
this?
places that aren't basically Las Vegas, which is designed around a constant ebb and flow of people coming in and out,
Right.
for things like Austin or Toronto or Sundance or Cannes. Actually,
Yeah.
no, Cannes kind of different because it is a summer vacation spot. They are meant to the ebb and flow. We are not. We are
Right.
not used to that ebb and flow of a million people being dumped on top of you.
Yeah.
And then a million people leaving 2 weeks later. It fucks you up. It fucks up your economy. Yes, it brings a lot of money in, but it does horrible things. And earlier I jokingly mentioned human trafficking, but I should not have been jokingly mentioned human trafficking.
Yeah, there's
That
definitely
is-
no joke about that
No.
whatsoever.
Yeah, no. Whatever. All right, so we have to kind of get in this, what happened within the last year. Human trafficking was brought to a noticeable point within multiple cultures within the last Super Bowl. We had a person who worked for a very notorious video game company being part of a sting operation to stop human trafficking, so arrested a good number of people, definitely not all of them, because that's still a thing that's going on and we
Right.
should be conscious of. And for us in nerd culture, we're like, oh, this dude was wanting to fuck an underage girl from overseas because human trafficking, and we should not do that. Yeah, like, let's just not do that. Let's just
Yep,
not
for
do
the
that
love
in
of God,
general.
please.
Yeah,
don't
no,
do
and of course,
But
anytime you
it goes,
bring...
I don't have all the details in front of me, so it gets way more complicated than this.
Right.
But like human trafficking, even here in during South by Southwest, is a fucking thing.
Of course. Anytime you bring big money into an area, you're going to bring stuff to pique that kind of interest. So
Yeah,
you're going to
between
get
drugs and whoring, that's what we have for 2 weeks
right.
at least.
You're going to get a lot of that. You're going to get a lot of new elements into town. You're going to even get stuff that might decide to stick around. When these festivals, let's talk about the festival itself, though, because it's one thing to say that it'll economically impact, the place that it's in. Of course it will. And that doesn't just mean more money.
political
It also means more problems. That being
More money,
said,
more problems.
More money, more problems, more prostitution, apparently. That being said...
By the way,
when-
I believe that we are a sex worker positive podcast.
Oh, yes,
We all are-
absolutely.
Oh no! Like if you
No,
were
no,
to
no,
be,
no.
if you're deciding to be like one day, it's like, you know what? I'm gonna go out and suck a dick for $5. Fucking go for it. I don't give a shit.
just believe you
but
should be
don't
more
have anybody forcing you to
You
do.
No,
should
you're
be
it.
more
absolutely right.
Protected.
Yes.
While you do it, you should have
Yes.
some fucking insurance.
You should
and stuff.
need... You have to... we need...
This is the American insurance.
We need
not a
sex-
political
the
podcast.
failures.
No, no, but we do need a sex workers' bill of rights. God
Yes,
damn it!
absolutely.
Yes, but we're not a political
All right,
podcast.
so continue on with
But I'll draft the bill of rights later. That being said, when we talk about the festival
John
itself,
Cleese created the Internet Bill of Rights,
Right.
and it's fucking amazing.
when we talk
So
about,
I believe that Hector could do the sex workers' Bill of Rights.
oh, that would be fun. When we talk about the festivals themselves and the impacts they have, the negative impacts are that once they grow too big, once all of the people with more money than they need see all of the eyes and all of the hype that is generated by these festivals for really good things, they now want to take their AAA budget product, whatever it might be, and put it on these eyes that are out there looking for single A budget stuff that is either a diamond in the rough or way better than it has any right to be, or amazing just all on its own. And they either want to mimic that or they want to overshadow it with whatever they have.
Again, I've said this I don't know how many times at this point. Hector makes a good point.
That's how we got Twilight at Comic-Con.
Look at Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones during South by Twilight, obviously great example. When Twilight first showed up at Comic-Con, it was like, what the fuck are you doing here? Get the fuck off our stage.
Yeah.
But it was because that's where they felt they should be.
Right.
During South by Southwest, we have Game of Thrones, which for years they've had the being on the Iron Throne thing. Honestly, the fact that I've never gotten to go sit in the Iron Throne makes me very sad because this is the last year it will be available.
Yeah, I've done some really cool big things at South by.
But the year before that, Westworld was... they took over like a block.
Last year we had a whole Westworld town recreation. The year before that, they put up
Game of Thrones. They literally remade...
we have the American gods walk in the Garden of Eden.
Yeah, they put up a Bates
and
Motel.
And the year before that, they had Continue.
They put up an actual Bates Motel 2 years ago.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, that you could go into and it would just look like a fucking motel.
Do you remember the vending machine?
Honestly, I would not be
20-story vending machine. Downtown, they had a 20-story vending machine brought to you by, I think it was Doritos. And it was a stage in front of a literally 20-story vending machine that people spent, I get it, millions of dollars making. Millions of dollars were meant into engineering, designing, building this fucking thing for nothing than 1 week of put it up, cool, Instagram, done, and it's over.
It's a Lewis Black big fucking thing. You just put a big, it doesn't matter what it is. It's got to be big and it's got to be a fucking thing. And you just put it up and people go to it.
Yeah,
that's all you need.
And to me, that's the irritating part about these festivals. Whenever you realize how easy it is to exploit them. Exploit is not a word. Exploit.
I'm gonna cringe on that a little bit, bro. That exploit.
Exploit is the name of my next video game.
No, but you're right.
I'm gonna call it Exploit.
Is it about human trafficking?
It's about exploiting all over indigenous people.
Oh Lord, no. Okay,
Tony.
A game only a white man can make.
True that.
Just got weird. Okay, so we have one final question to wrap this whole thing up is that when it comes to these festivals, whether they be video games, movies, entertainment, any of this stuff, are they a necessary evil? Does the good outweigh the bad at this point when it comes to these
I think the good outweighs the bad so much that I wouldn't even call them an evil. Yes, a lot of them, most of the ones we talk about because we talk about them.
Because we live in them?
Yes, end up being exploited in one way or another. When you really think about it, a long, long time ago, E3 was kind of a niche little event where these companies showed off, obviously, their big games and did a big, here's how much money we made this year as a financial thing, but they also showed off a little bit of their smaller projects, and people got interested in them. I mean, at the end of the day, I think they're just a wholly good thing, especially when you talk about cons and you talk about South Y or the Tribeca Film Festival or how many little Comic Cons that aren't owned by Wizard or whoever the fuck that, don't turn into big corporate bullshit, but turn into, hey, come check out this thing you probably haven't seen before. If you like this or this, I bet it's for you. And you only went there because you do an A and B.
And you feel like the awards that are given out of things like cans actually are important because in fact, they were probably more important than things like the Oscars.
100%, because they're new things.
Instead of being Oscar nominated, being the thing that we should appreciate, it should be the fact that this film at Cannes Film Festival won an award for best indie film.
Right.
That is the thing.
It obviously didn't come from a great director. It might have had an actor you know in it, but only because they took an enormous pay cut because they liked the project. But this project is here to be shown to you, and if it turns out to be the best in this thing where these new and up-and-coming teams poured their heart and soul and probably their own money into something to show to you, and it becomes the best of show, to me, that would mean more to me than an Oscar.
I agree with you for the most part.
Yeah.
I have this one addendum that, for me personally, I like to add. It's called the Not in My Backyard. Because I'm sick of it being here. I'm sick of it being in these locations. I'm sick of San Diego Comic-Con has to be in the San Diego Comic-Con ginormous thing. That city, out of their way, has to go and spend millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars every year to keep up and make better so they can have this one influx of good payments.
They're basically becoming the Olympics at this
point. No, and that's exactly what we're doing here with South by Southwest. That's what Sundance has already discovered and said, fuck you, we're not doing it anymore. They still put on the film festival where they're like, but they were limiting it to such a degree.
Yeah.
The Tribeca Film Festival, Cannes. We were talking about film festivals. They're the first ones to learn, fuck you, you're destroying this
people.
city. It's too many people. We have to limit what you're doing.
There's a reason that a few times E3 has gone press only.
Yeah.
Because
and also move locations.
Yeah, because either whoever they held it hated them afterwards, or the people
It just
going
got
to
too
the
fucking
festival
big.
decided
And E3
like
has
this is
gotten
too,
too
much.
big. E3 has gotten to a
E3
bloated
gets too
point.
big pretty much every 5
And when you
years.
talk about Cannes, Cannes has learned that it is good for the, it's good for our economic future for a small amount of time, as long as we keep it small. We don't allow everybody else in here. South by Southwest does not have that. Colorado has learned that whenever they do their film festival, they're like, maybe we don't have everybody in the sun. When Troma Fest became a thing, when Troma is mocking you, Troma Films, you're done. Like, you're not a thing anymore of Troma Films, because they're way behind the times on fucking everything.
All right,
So what I'm trying to say is it is good for the temporarily economic development of an area, but the longevity of the economics is only at a downfall to the societal environment that it will create.
Right.
Wow, Tony just got deep on this. Okay, so we took a deep dive into what media festivals are and trying to break everything down. And I really do appreciate the whole panel for this. Getting kind of cerebral with this, like your last comments are important because there's so much that happens during these festivals that are not just I'm watching a good movie. It is political. It is economic.
It's cool that you're watching a good movie, but that dude just fucked a 12-year-old. Maybe we should stop that too.
Right.
Well, we should probably stop that no matter when it's happening.
Maybe we should be focusing on that and not the cool movie.
Right. So demystifying what a film festival is very important because it doesn't just apply to film festivals. It applies to E3. It applies to all these things because these festivals, as we've broken down here on the panel today, are not just a net positive or net negative. There's somewhere in the middle where something great,
more akin to humanity. It's good, but it's also a whole
honestly,
piece of shit.
it comes down to the idea that when you come up with the concept of something, you don't expect it to be good or evil. You want it to be just something great.
Yeah,
and that's where we are when you look at.
It's
festivals.
like a child. Whenever you make a child,
this is going to be so bad.
No, it's not. It's not so bad. When you make a child, you're just like, I made a thing. I hope for the best. I want this kid to go on.
With God.
I want it to cure cancer and be president of the United States.
I hope you're Jonas Salk and not Adolf Hitler.
Not a meth head who injected 500 people with fucking HIV. Like, I want that not to happen, but you know what? Both are on the table. They're both there. We can't not make them not go away.
And maybe when we talk about festivals, we have to realize that as you get bigger, that maybe with great power comes great responsibility.
No, and that's something that
Hector, that was so good. High five.
That is something that a lot of things, mostly for me personally, South by Southwest has yet to learn.
Yeah.
That the responsibility of bringing this much money and people into these locations, and weirdly, I have to give props at least for the FBI agents in the Super Bowl for like taking down some people that shouldn't have been doing these things. Like maybe we are conscientious of our place in the world and in the universe, and we aren't.
Hey, love
fucking 12-year-olds.
Yeah.
Seriously,
love one
All
another.
right, so that's the
But
end.
not
of
loving 12-year-olds. Well, aside from
That is different.
From aside from far away,
can-
like
God,
you
we
do
can
you.
tone- leave it
we
to
go over
Tony to end
here.
this whole thing on
Would
an
you
awkward
please
note.
just leave the 12-year-olds
Basically,
alone,
just
Tony?
don't fuck anyone who's not over or not under 18. Is what I'm
yes.
saying.
Consenting age.
Consenting. Fuck consenting.
Jesus Christ!
Make
no,
sure
we are not doing
make-
this. Thank you.
This is
You're the
not how
one who
we-
wanted this conversation, and it turns into a lot of very.
I
bad
can't wait for
court
this to be the
cases.
first episode someone listens to.
I know, right? Okay,
I'm so happy yet sorry.
and that's the end of the boss room for this week.
I don't think we won. I don't think we won that at all.
Before we leave today, we'd like to take a minute just to say thank you to everyone who tunes in every week. Seriously, we were a tiny little show. I shit you not. Tony and I started this podcast in my apartment with a trash can flipped upside down with a web camera as our microphone.
Oddly, the same. It's not the same webcam, but a similar model of webcam that we're currently using to stream this on twitch.tv/thesillinerd every Monday about 7:30 Central, except for today because we're off because of things. Life happens.
Life happened. But
well, it's not. It's Tuesday, not Monday.
Oh,
I
yeah,
mean,
correct.
Tony and I started this thing literally the most indie way that you can.
Someone told me that I couldn't do a thing, and I said, "Fuck you."
And here we are, 300.
Then I may have spent like $500 and said, "Fuck you, I'm doing the thing anyway."
And I mean, it means a lot to us because we get all these comments and reviews and all this stuff from all of you every week saying like, hey, we love your show, or hey, your show inspires me, or hey, just I agree with everybody that's not Tony.
Yeah.
I mean,
Can we just as a culture stop saying "oh hey" at the beginning of conversations? That's just weird.
That's how you like get people's attention. Oh hey,
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
But we
if you're
really
writing me an email at info@thesillinerd.com, just if you want to write me, if you start with "oh hey," I'm deleting your shit. I'm just saying that. No.
luckily I get your email before Tony does, so because he sleeps till 3 in the afternoon. So
You know what? But I also stay awake until 7 in the morning. So
so now you know the window
Damn
where
you,
you should
Scuba
send
Steve.
email. You send it sometime between 7 a.m. and 3 p.m.
all right, so I never thought that we would be where we are today, and I've already said so many thank yous on Twitter to everybody who's been here with us. Seriously, from the bottom of all of our hearts, thank you so much for hanging on with our tiny baby little indie show. It really means a lot to us, and I mean, here's to some more. Like,
Hell yeah, here's
raise
to-
our glasses.
no, cheers.
Cheers.
Everybody who's helped us along the way. This has been an amazing 300 yard. I was expecting us to just kind of do a 300 retrospective, which would have been like 30 minutes.
I was
And-
gonna say, remember the time Tony took that one joke way too far and the cops showed up?
So 15 minutes ago?
Yeah.
So far, the cops have yet to show up.
That's why we're
So
going to
far.
the bar right now.
Remember episode 200 where we drank like an actual fifth of Fireball?
Before we can do any of that,
I
Tony,
do remember that.
Tony, where can
Kinda.
people find us and talk to us?
Facebook.com/thesillinerd. Like, share with your friends. Twitch.tv/sillinerd. Monday, 7:30 Central is where I believe right now we're still going to keep the show
yeah.
going towards.
Yep.
If that changes, you can find out on...
Wow, dude.
It has been a long time since I've had a fucking that burp at that level on this show. And
Congrats.
you're the one who made me talk a lot when I had to burp. You can find it on Facebook.com/SoNerd if we change anything, or Twitter's @theSoNerd, or Twitch.tv/SoNerd, or we'll just pump out. We'll just
We'll let you
gallons.
know.
We'll have gallons and gallons
You
of
have a,
our marketing sprayed upon you.
You have a Toe Jam and Earl review coming.
I
right
do.
yeah.
Just don't. All right, I've been working on this, and I don't because
Have you
I'm
finished the game yet? Question.
okay. There's no. It's a sandbox game. There's no finishing the
No,
game.
Hold on,
no,
don't
there's-
spoil the review. Jesus Christ.
Also-
No. The reason I asked, I didn't ask about the game. I just asked if you finished it yet. Because I saw
finished-
today a speed run of it that took like less than an hour.
Okay, fuck those people and how good they are at the game. I am not that good at the game. I'm very awful at this game. And maybe I should do some of that on our Twitch stuff. Follow us on fucking twitch.tv/sillinerd. Follow us on Twitter's @thesillinerd. We'll let you know
We're
we're
on
going
Facebook.
live.
If you want to listen to this, we're on Spotify.
We're on Spotify. Next book is Facebook Live, where we're gonna figure out how to make this go on Facebook Live
Oh,
for everybody.
all right, yeah.
We're also our Patreon
my
is
mom's
going.
gonna watch.
Our Patreon, once it gets approved, is going live soon because we have to
fun
finish
thing about
editing
Patreon
words.
is that you can pay us to talk about topics. Like,
So if you want to pay the show, there's a donate button on Twitch. There's a donate button on our website, and we'll have the Patreon, which you'll get very irritated by us constantly pumping in your fucking face. It's just gonna be like jerk, just load after load right all over your fucking newsfeed.
Oh yeah. Load after
all right,
load.
that is everything we have for the show this week. Seriously, Twitch, thank you for sticking with us. I know this was a really rough episode. Those of you who were here first.
It's a Hallmark episode, so it
It's a
should be the
Hallmark
roughest
episode.
it could possibly be.
Correct.
It was just.
We are going in dry
it
for
was
all of
ribbed,
these ideas.
It was ribbed for everyone's pleasure at
Damn
that
right.
point.
I mean, we were ripped for everyone's pleasure.
All right, so until next week, for Tony, this is James.
For James, this is Tony.
300, guys.
Until next week, adventurers, good night.
And good game.
We love all of you. Seriously,
Yeah.
thank you for sticking with us.
Thanks
through
for
this.
hanging out
It's
in chat.
A crazy experience. Now we're all gonna go to the bar and get even drunker.
Fuck
and
yeah.
Party.
Thanks for hanging out while we did it live.
Seriously, we really appreciate
If
it.
anyone would like to donate to our bar tab, please do so. Because it's about to get dumb.
It's about to get dumb.
It's about to get fucking stupid.
Mostly because I really want a hamburger right now.
Well, Little Darling's Kitchen closes at 10, so you might want to pick something up on the way.
Dude, there's a Jack in the Box right next door.
Yeah.
There's a Mexican place right next door. There is the other Mexican place right next door. There's a Slotchki's. They're already closed.
There are things around.
All right, I'm done streaming.
You're like the only person that thinks like, you know what I want for dinner? Schlotzky's.
They have very good sandwiches. Honestly, when I walked into Slotchki's recently, the manager stopped and said, "Have you heard of us before?"
You just dropped a coaster in the middle of the dining room.
Yeah, that
God
happens.
damn it, Hector!
Yeah.
That's Scotch.
Was this a kid in the classroom who, like, someone asked him an answer and he finally got called on?
I'm not entirely sure
And he,
that
like,
Brooklyn
couldn't-
put the Mexican flag up for the last thing he said, but that's definitely the Mexican flag.
He was like, and he stopped and he said, "No, I'm not stupid. I'm just panicking. Hang on." And
Yeah.
the meme was like, "Oh, I felt
And
that."
everybody had their like.
I think everyone felt that. Oh,
was
we
like-
feel you, bro. We feel you.
Yoga said smoke.
Yeah.
Yes.
They still haven't put fucking in-game tickets up for sale. I'm so mad.
It's been 2.5 hours of you guys talking nonstop. It's time for a smoke.
Ah, no shit.
I was gonna ask Hector, do you have to work in the morning?
Not until noon.
Okay, you're good.
Yeah, that's why we're going.
That was my next question. I was like, do you have to work in the morning?
Yeah, no, we're going out.
Because your response earlier was.
Oh yeah, no, that was we didn't know if Sean's been fucking crazy and if he's not in the office, I need to be. So I wasn't for sure whether or not he was gonna be there in the morning. So I thought I'll either go out with you guys and have one drink or go out with you guys and have all the drinks. Yeah.
This is more of a like, do we want to call Uber now and have us come pick us up? Or.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like if it's Little Darling, we can just carpool there and back. I was just gonna, we won't die. Yeah, I wasn't planning on like doing a bunch of shots. No, we'll be fine.
Two things. One, I agree with you slightly. Most accidents happen within 1 mile of the person.
Well, now you're contradicting your 2 points.
Well, no, the first one was I drove. I used to drive back blackout drunk and not know what the fuck was happening.
Oh yeah, no. No, I think midnight tops. Like just getting out, like having a couple. Like we should go out and have a couple of drinks. No. See, I have to. Okay, if I'm gonna be at work at noon, I have to get up at 10. It's only 10 now. We have a couple hours. We have a couple hours to go get drinks.
Partying hard.
Okay, so consistency.
I've always been a nocturnal person.
So consistency for me is drinking until about midnight, then going and getting Whataburger and passing out on the couch. That's consistency. Hey, there were 2 cats, so that's a 3-hour nap. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I have 2 cats now.
Oh, okay.
She probably was long with 2 cats.
I don't know, like, so the way that worked was, I knew the show was coming up. I was like, okay, I'm done. I turn off my Xbox. I'm like, oh, there's Jenny Berkey. And I put the leash on her. I'm like, oh, they're sleeping. That's fine. And I walk outside and it's like, hey, there's Hector. They're sleeping.
Like, they were sitting on the couch, and I was like, that's about right. Because
I literally
completely
came out,
honest.
turned around and went, oh, y'all.
Yeah,
I
no.
was just trying to get like a 20-minute nap.
Yeah, I know. I said hi. You said hi. I don't even remember you finishing past the putting the food in your mouth. Like, I hear an alarm going off, and I didn't even notice that this time. That was when I had headphones on. So it was I walked out, I was like, oh, I thought it was an hour. Like, oh, Aaron, way gone, super fast. I didn't even know that he was gone.
This week's episode of Supergirl is fucking insane.
So the one before that, very good.
Yeah. No, this week's was
The
so
website,
much
the
better.
website is a week behind, so it just got that. It just got me last week's 4 hours before it got this week's.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, it was weird.
I had it downloaded last week. I was kind of mad. And they still don't have this week's Arrow up when I This episode felt like a lot like what they've been building.
Supergirls this season is the most political season any of the CW shows ever and possibly will ever have.
It's so amazingly like topical to what we're dealing with right now, and at the same time it's a CW show, and like it's so hard to just bring those two things together, but they're doing such a great job.
I think I have an idea how the execs that want this have been able to pull it off. It's a slightly different reality. It's not ours.
Yeah.
That's it. It's like it's just not this one. It's just a slightly different way.
Because they have all the elements, right?
Exactly
And then they have literally, they have the white supremacist analog, they have the minority analog, and they have the violent minority uprising analog now with Manchester Black and his crew, right? The Elite or whatever they're calling themselves. So they're kind of like wheeling all three together at this point, and it's becoming way too real in like the best way.
You know, last week's episode, I haven't watched it yesterday.
Tony's mean.
No, but yeah.
You can go out like that. That's fine. I'm just letting you know we're about to leave in a few minutes. I will.
Hey, it's Austin. You don't even problem.
Rock out with your. There's no C word for titties out. What's the C word for titties?
You could go hard K and say knockers, but rock out with your knocks out.
Knocks out is not. It's gotta be. It's
I don't like
alliteration's
it.
gotta be there.
I don't like it.
Not to draw attention to my girlfriend, but how
That's a great shirt.
It's not as good as the pillow.
No, that's a good ass shirt. I like it.
I mean, fundamentally, that is a better cat thing than those cat things. Yeah, that slime's better than these slimes. Also, I'm glad that we all forgot they're called slimes. But like, look at the slimes all over my girlfriend's shirt. It's kind of one of the worst things you can say.
Are there tattoo slimes in the slime rancher? That's awesome. I just thought it was a slime rancher. I've never played the game. I just know it looks like fun. I don't know. I have a really big backlog, guys. Like a really big backlog.
Do you want a sandbox where you go out and find different creatures that's not Pokemon?
No. It sounds like a lot of time.
Yes, that's
I should have to play some Nautica for Christ's sake.
No, Slime Rancher is like one of the best things that ever happened.
That's very
Oh,
good.
no, I agree. Like, I totally get the appeal. I've played games like it before.
It's a really good game.
Like
It's
a ton
very
of
well
fun.
developed.
Yeah.
But
It looks like a great way to lose several afternoons.
She loves it.
for me, it's a game that I personally wish was hooked up to one of those feasting machines.
Oh, so that you can get some exercise?
So I
stroking Judith's machine?
Well, it's
Yeah,
you,
but also
you stroke
rugby.
two dicks, but also you like rub two with your.
No, because you have to run back and forth. And like, this game is so good. I kind of need to exercise when I play it. So let's go.
I don't. We'll figure that later. I don't know.
Maybe you do like what was that stupid? I think it
I
was
don't
Harry
know.
Potter, where you like cycle
You
your
get a
legs to float.
vibrating wand that you sit on. Would you mind disconnecting
That's a
that?
different kind of streaming.
James, will you disconnect the... Thank you.